out Hezbollah, Hamas.
That's not different from
the mullahs.
That's not genocide.
And if we had to wipe out like 80%, if we had to wipe out 80% of the population of the Palestinians to make sure Hamas was dead, that would be justified then.
That would be more or less genocide at that point.
All right. You're saying genocide's justified.
Well, killing 80% of the population is obviously genocide. I don't think anybody
disagrees with that. Communism coming in and taking over the
I never said I'm okay with communism. I said, no, you fucking moron. I didn't even, I said I'm against that. I'm a capitalist. I'm not a fucking communist.
You said you're against it.
Shut up.
Against it, but then...
Oh my God, your fucking mouth. What I said is that... Shut up. What I did say is that it's amazing, though, that the things that plague our societies, you look at the gang members, the people selling drugs, the people that do nothing, they're welfare cheats. You look at the people who are completely uneducated. Okay, you're going to get kicked out of the room if you do this again. Shut up. But you look at the people that are literally the most dysfunctional Americans that you see here in America. Okay, we can look at a lot of the black hood culture. Those people would not exist in Cuba. They don't exist in Cuba. They're not allowed to exist in Cuba. And I was saying, wouldn't it be amazing if there was like something that could be done to change these fucking people in America, so they were at least, I don't know, like the black people in Cuba. They fucking worked. They didn't commit crimes. They didn't sell drugs. Amazing. What is it in Cuba?
To put that into perspective, it's 5,600.
Okay.
To put that in perspective, Russia is like 12,000. So, 13,000, sorry. Okay, so like, put this into perspective, like you're seeing like China is two times more than Cuba, but Cuba is 5 times more than Haiti. Like these are more fucking people. And then when you compare that to the average American, which is like 56,000, bro, like you're darn fucking poor.
Yeah, it's fine, but like I said, I'm not sticking up for communism, so I don't know what matters. I just point, it's just weird how people like pick out, and like I can say what they get so like weird when I can point out, like, what Cuba does have. It does have no problem. It does seem to a problem they do seem to solve is their black people problem. Seems like they kind of got control over that. That's amazing. Then it's just like, oh, but communism bad. No shit, communism's bad. Well, but dirt poor black people here will sell drugs, and they kill each other, and they don't work, and they often drop out of school. But in Cuba doesn't really give them that option now, does it? Yeah, well, it's better than them committing crimes, I would say. I'd rather them be slaves to the state than be drug dealers. Okay, you know what? Maybe ghetto black people should be slaves to the state. Then maybe that is something that we should consider. If they're not going to act right, yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, I thought your argument was that it was. Didn't we have this debate like a couple of months ago?
No, I would never equate being in jail to being a slave.
I mean, I would rather.
I don't think it's that far off.
I would actually rather than pick cotton, okay, with the slave master, the biggest, strongest black man who has a short temper with a big whip. making him pick cotton than having them, shooting up, nightclubs and whatever the fuck it is that they like to do out on the streets.
Going outside is not like a privilege. I've never been locked up, though.
We should. That's what we should do. Is like, I actually think instead of prison, they have to live on a plantation, and they have, like, honestly.
So there is a cultural problem. I think you could have both, just because it's whatever government. It's more about the altruistic or the regulation within the government than even what it is. Well, I guess to an extent. So there is too. Like, I used to work at the school system. It's called Chelsea, Massachusetts. This was a while ago, and they had a lot of Cambodians fresh off the boat, Vietnamese. A lot of times we have trouble with the Vietnamese. Why? Because they would say they're 16 when they were 26, trying to get into the school to get the education. There was a lot of violence, but 94% of it, something like that, was from the black kids. So there was kind of an equal mix. It was interesting. White, blacks, and these kind of poor Asian kids, that they were the poorest, but they were the least violent. So there is probably some cultural thing going on. But I think the way to do it would be, and I want your opinions here, would be, our nature seems to fit the capitalistic model best, unfortunately. There's a lot of problems, but it seems to do it. We're not that altruistic, so we can be corrupt. We need a lot of checks and balances, or things are going to go. No one wants authoritarianism, to clean up. But we can do it. We can do a better job than that. But we need the regulation. What say you about how to do the regulation, how to get things passed? Because it seems like it's so much trouble, but we need to do that. That would be the best way. What do you guys think?
All right, Pepe, put me in the queue.
We don't need any regulations. We definitely don't need any regulations in capitalism, but there's more of like a social problem in the black community, because I mean, if you look at the whole black culture, it's completely degenerate, and then there's nobody helping. There are no voices trying to make them do better.
Well, they don't value education. There's kind of an anti-intellectual vibe, and I think more than ever, going on, which I don't think helps things either.
Go ahead.
It's very difficult to get out of, and if you're ostracized by going outside of the group, which for whatever reason they do see getting educated as going outside of the group, then it makes their life, at least in the short term, very difficult.
Hey, Adolin, I'd like to address what you asked, because when you say that our human nature is capitalistic, what we have in America is not capitalism. We have a central bank. We have a central bank that has created $40 trillion in debt, and they're going to create even more. That is not capitalism. That is the definition of Marxism and communism or socialism, and we aren't going to stop. And you know it, and I know it. This is not capitalism, and we have spent money like drunken sailors. The whole economy, 40% of the economy, is bent on borrowing and spending. That's not capitalism, Adolin. So I don't know why goes back to what you just said at the end, where people are stupid and there's no intellectualism. If American citizens were actually intelligent, they would be protesting the Federal Reserve, Congress, the IRS, etc. Because this is a slave state now. This is a prison with 350 million people who will do what they are told to do, because we have essentially bankrupted our finances and our morality. We have an immoral financial system in this country. And everyone around the world, because of World War II and the dollar reserve, has to eat our shit. And shit rolls downhill. I am complete.
I'm all for the
Yeah, I don't.
Federal Reserve, but that has to be really, really, really down the line.
Yeah.
It's just so ingrained in everything. But yes, I mean, obviously we have to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Decentralize a lot of powers from the government.
If we get rid of the Federal Reserve and we just do the same thing that Congress and the Federal Reserve do, we didn't get rid of anything. We essentially have to become libertarians, and we have to actually understand how to make a profit, which is cost of goods sold minus price of good, or price of good minus, that's your profit. We don't have that because we borrow to actually achieve profits. And all the money that we borrow goes straight to corporations and then social welfare bullshit. I'm telling you, this country has done a full 180-degree turn from the founders and what the country was set up to be. The central bank is the biggest problem, and Congress is the biggest problem.
It is massively corrupted. I mean, it is massively corrupted. I would say it wasn't that we were capitalism. I would kind of agree that I don't know that what we have is capitalism now because it's so messed up. But I don't know that I wouldn't call it Marxism now. I don't know what I'd call it.
If you read Karl Marx, he literally says only through fiat currency and central bank can you achieve a communist state. You deplete the value of the dollars through fiat currency. It's the biggest change in human history of all time. They always used metal to do exchange. Now we do fucking fake paper, which is nothing more than artwork. It's literally pieces of paper from a printer. That is not capitalism, that's communism. We just happened, and we didn't even win the Cold War. I mean, the Soviet Union wised up and they're like, you know what, this economic model doesn't work. We're gonna collapse it because it's not profitable.
Well, Adeline, to answer your question, I think you can look at maybe like upwards to 20% of our population that comes from multi-generational dysfunction. These are people that are going to do a horrible job raising kids and the cycle continues. I almost think that there isn't, I don't really know how to improve their standards unless, to be honest with you, I almost think like it would take something like a totalitarian system like you would see in Cuba or China back in the day to I guess you could say, break that cycle. I think that they almost have to be raised by, and only surrounded by functional people, I guess you could say, people that are adept at just functioning in America like the other 80%.
Well, it's the women in that community that are like a real serious issue. Culture.
I can't find like one sane, I'm going to say woman under 50 years old. I can't like find a sane one. And also too, I've done counseling, and some of it, what you're saying, I agree with that, but my solution is I'm trying to avoid totalitarian. I'm trying to do it in a least restrictive way.
No, I agree.
That's all I'm trying to get at. Just what can we do short of that? I mean, maybe if things have completely collapsed, I mean, maybe you have to do that to pick it up. Like, maybe you have to wipe out something completely to fix it because it's really hard to do anything surgical because it's so messed up. It's just so hard.
Well, I would say I have a very dim view on this, and there's many things you have to take into consideration. First of all, generally dysfunctional and unintelligent people generally are going to have kids with each other. Now, how is that woman going to be? How responsible is she going to be when she's pregnant? Is she going to be drinking, smoking? Is she going to be doing drugs? What is she doing? Stuff that can affect the baby. When the baby is born, how attentive is she going to be to the child? Is she going to be rather careless? There's a lot of areas where the mom can fuck up. Okay, in addition to maybe the kid not having the best genes. Now, obviously, there's not much you can do about the gene part, like today, but
there is. I've actually got some.
Like 60 years ago, this wasn't a serious issue.
Well, I would say though, but what can you control for? Well, it's kind of hard.
There is something. So
like what?
Dating, choosing a mate is a marketplace. I think we can agree with that.
But we're talking about the dysfunctional people. The dysfunctional people tend to be careless. They generally they have careless, unprotected sex. They generally are not going to plan ahead. They generally are not going to put much thought into it. So how do you control for that part?
So we got two parts. We've got some poor genetics that lend itself to the carelessness. So there would be an increase in that because the genetics interact with the environment, and that's where you're going to get your behavior the most. So there's two parts. So I'm going to attack the harder part first. really hard part is the genetics though. Part of it is women, if you give women a better choice, and this is a little crazy, this is selective, selective genetics. But if you give them a little choice in men, generally what women do want is a holistic, good package. They don't just look for the look. So it's not that guys do that, but there is a little prioritization. They want the holistic package of being a good dad, a good husband, a good provider, good healthy genes. They do look at that. And they look at that more than men look at that with women. So having the women have some power there would be good genetically.
Who the fuck gave women the right to even speak before they even decide?
But this is kind of where, this is kind of where I am. I'm trying to be. I think looks are going to largely depend when people choose mates. A lot of it's going to depend on how attractive the other person is. I mean, just as a general rule of thumb, attractive people go with attractive people, and so on and so on. I don't think unattractive. I mean, I do think that attractive and unattractive or just average women, they're gonna likely get someone looks matched to a degree. But what I would say is that somebody who's unintelligent is generally only going to be comfortable around other people that are around their intelligence level. That's who they're going to have things in common with. And when you get people who, it's not just an intelligence thing. Some people are naturally a lot more impulsive. Some people, might not just be genetic. A lot of it is just, how they were raised. But you're going to have people who do things like have riskier unprotected sex while not on birth control. Do a lot of things, substance abuse, and these are things that where they, it's not epigenetic, it's polygenic scoring that like in the UK, they were only looking at white kids native to the UK when they did this, and what they were saying is that the people that were having kids, it was the people that had the polygenic scoring risks for things like ADHD, substance abuse, a lot of, they were the ones that were having kids at a higher rate, which makes sense because these are the people who are likely going to do something impulsive that would lead to pregnancy, whereas others are generally going to plan it. So once you get that out of the way, and this could be nature or nurture, both that leads to the poor decision making. Now, how do you break that cycle though? Like how can you have that mom not be who she's been her whole life when raising that child?
Concentration camps.
Well, hopefully, the other thing is the child care situation and the epidemic of child care, having some low-wage loser kid who couldn't really do any other jobs, so she's going to take care of 1-year-olds, and they call that a teacher. A 6-month-old, 12-month-old infant, they don't need a teacher. They need a mom or a dad, somebody with a vested interest. It could be a good grandma, someone capable. Basically, an adult in a room, 2 things that they need. An adult in a room that will be mature, emotionally fortified, take care of them, and they care. So that those 2 things need to coexist. A capable, emotionally capable person, mentally capable, and they care. If those 2 things don't exist, the person is not going to be well taken care of. And then you tend to produce these losers that you're talking about. But if we took care of that, that would help a lot. If you don't have emotional fortification, that comes first in the brain, not the intellectual. That has to come from, it's like being hungry. If you're hungry, you're not going to learn math. You're going to be hungry. That's it. And I know this for sure. So you have to take care of this emotional stuff first, and that starts with the little kid. It's kind of easier too to look at the society and say, okay, what do we need to do for our 2-year-olds? That's a little more simple. Look at that, and then sometimes some of the answers fall into place.
So yeah, I guess, but like my question would be, who's so like I said, my interest would be in breaking the intergenerational cycle of dysfunction. What's going to be there to make sure that mom is even capable, if she is, of, and as you know, like the emotional connection, attachment that you have the first few years in life is very important. That can lead to a lot of your neural pathways not forming correctly, and so you end up having emotional problems you otherwise wouldn't have had. And I guess I don't know. Short of being in a system where, like, let's just say, like, imagine you had these people, like, from the day they gave birth, where you have, like, professionals around all day, and they basically make sure the mothers watch their kid. I don't see how you could make it work.
I have thought of, my brain has gone to the same place over and over, and I thought about this, and you're right, I see this all the time. Like, I worked in a school system, and a lot of times if the kid, they start there at 5, their brain's already mostly formed, and they're already ruined. And because the teachers, because I worked in a school system, they would complain and saying, hey, we're, those tests at the end of the year, we're getting judged on that. And actually, some of our salaries are based on this. So if we have a kid who's damaged goods, that's not fair. So they wouldn't even, that's not the most empathic way, but it's like, hey, damaged goods, not fair. It's going to be.
No, you're correct. There's whole schools.
It's true, they were damaged. Yeah, because a lot of times there wouldn't even be a mother or father in the house in this place. I worked out in the eastern North Carolina, and there was no mother, father. It would be a foster care situation or a grandmother, and the grandmother has got like 5 of the kids. She just plopped one in front of some poorly, in front of the TV that wasn't even working right. That would be the parent. And so the kids would come, and they were already, their neurons would be half gone. And even if you did a really good job from that point, which you wouldn't, by the way, the schools aren't set up to do that kind of stuff. They're set up to give a good worksheet, that matches his test score. That's what they're set up to do. They're good at that.
Yes, and there have been studies on this. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they initially started out putting a lot of funding into the school themselves. They quickly realized that, well, shit, we have a whole different problem. It's not... Only up until a point can the school make it so that you can get a good education, but nearly the rest of it is what happens outside of the school. And so, like, you would have to have extensive wraparound services for kids who are, they don't have, some kids, have a parent that will literally make them do a lot of studying and force them to carry out all of their responsibilities, who will always be a good role model. But then you have the other parents who just, like, either they barely exist, or they're just super dysfunctional. They don't give a shit about you doing your homework or studying.
I have a nastiest story you've ever heard, and you're all gonna have bad dreams, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I had a parent, because I did testing for kids, that during her pregnancy, now she wasn't a drunk or anything, but they were very poor. They had to work very hard. It was a big struggle. This is already like their 4th kid. And it wasn't going that good anyways, and she kind of let things go, we'll say, with the pregnancy. Maybe she did do something, and the kid came out disabled. She wanted the kid to come out disabled. It was only going to be another 5 or 10 IQ points from where it was going to be anyways, so it wasn't that big a deal. Let him be disabled. If I tested him and he'd come out below 70 with an adaptive score below 70, an average score below 70, they qualified as a disability. That gives a paycheck to the family that they didn't have. That doubles their income, and they did, and he qualified. That was one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. But that's the kind of thing I wasn't so surprised. But what we want to do is not reward. You want to do it. It's very tricky. This is a very tough question. I love the question, because you don't want to reward like welfare for poverty or not or doing their best they can. You don't want to reward that. But at the same time, you've got to end the cycle. So it's not easy. I think you got to work both ends of the stick, probably. You have to provide, and they do have this, but it's not very good. Yeah, you need someone in there from day one. The baby's just laying there. I mean, what? You do. So you need to have something from like J1, but at the same time, you don't want to reward. There are programs like that already, but they're kind of half-mass. I mean, I wouldn't say half-mass, like 1% kind of actually rolled out that you can do more with. I mean, they have very educated people that do a really good job. I had done a little bit of this. I worked with people who did more so, and they were good and it helped. But there's a lot more that does cost. But sure, I think it's an investment because this is you have to make this a big priority and look at this a big ugly issue. You have to really bring this to the forefront and say, hey, this is unacceptable. We have to do something about it. But you got to do extra disability, an extra this, and you have to give the families hope too. A lot of it is this cultural thing with no hope, and I never knew what this was. I'm like, why do you all just sit around when you get home after work? You just sit around, light a ciggy, and watch soap operas. I can't imagine anything more disgusting and boring as that. Maybe you play cards later. You just smoke your cigarettes and watch a stupid show. What the hell? Why don't you just you can go to this after school thing and do this thing and get this little degree on how to fix washing machines and get yourself out of there. Oh, I could? Yeah, they don't even know that. So, but there's way to improve that so they'd improve themselves. So there's a lot of improvement where you can do. I think it's still going to be somewhat of a problem, but we can definitely get way ahead.
I agree, but I have to take off. I'll see you guys.
Later.
Who's got the screw? Should I maybe invite the listening people? I don't know if they can talk or not.
You don't need to send an invite. You can just unmute and come up.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
So do you guys think that Joe Biden is a robot clone?
I don't think of Joe Biden. He's like in a nursing home or something. I mean, why would I think about him?
Why would you put a robot in a nursing home? It seems counterintuitive.
I mean, if he needs the care, I mean, a lot of people have.
But why would a robot need care? There's a robot.
Oh, a real robot. Oh, I don't know. Even robots need tech support.
Yeah, do you know why I'm making that comment, Adeline?
Why?
Are you a Trump supporter?
I am more right than I am left. So
Because that's what Trump is saying, right? That this is Trump's theory that Joe Biden died in 2022, okay, and then now it's a robot. This is actually what Trump
is sort of
reading.
Silly to me. I don't believe in getting monsters in the sky and Jewish people throwing space lasers. I'm not a conspiracy. I think those people, there's something wrong with those people.
There's definitely something wrong with Trump. I agree. Yep.
I'm not schizotypal. I think a lot of people have some kind of psycho land. Just something wrong with Trump. If I was in charge, I think I could do a better job. And I don't think I'm that smart. Just some common sense, though. I mean, I work for a biotech company, at least in part, and so the biotech company is originally from China, and what they do though is they manufacture in North America, in the U.S., but they need the parts from China, little bitty pieces, little hooks and end. But when manufacturing, if you don't have just this one. It could be a screw. It could be this one little sheet. It's like doing a long division problem. It'll be wrong. You have to have all the bits and pieces. And if one little part can't be obtained, well, the thing can't be made, and then it can't be sold. And if it can't be sold, they can't give jobs to the people here and we couldn't export. So the tariff thing really needs to be, okay, maybe there needs to be tariffs, but it needs to be much more surgical. And maybe he's trying to get to that. I hope so. Because it's so messed up. So my friends, like, I mentioned this even though it's a small company, but it's representative of the thousands of other ones. It's definitely representative. There's nothing special about it or anything. And a lot of manufacturers in the US are basically assemblers. They don't invent the molecules and the things. They don't grow the part in the backyard. Well, maybe the agricultural ones do. We don't have to worry about those, perhaps. Oh, we do, but for a different reason. But a lot of these things that produce stuff, they need the part. We're kind of more almost assemblers. These quote manufacturers. They're kind of assemblers. You could probably substitute that word. So that's a huge thing. A lot of people don't know, and I don't think it's going to change, but he's screwing up the ACA. He's really got his mitts in the ACA. I guess Medicaid, I'm not sure what Medicaid, I know a big thing about Medicaid too. But health insurance for people making $55,000 a year, that's not a poor person. That's somebody working maybe in engineering, but they still get their health care on the ACA. And it's going to be harder to get a deal on that. $9,000 deductible or $9,000 out of pocket. What kind of insurance is that? And still they're having to pay such a huge price, given their net pay. So anyways, that's an area that to me is a huge thing. That's looks like it's going to be really bad. It was already not so good this year for a lot of people. I was one of the few people who knew how to maneuver there. There's like a reset thing you can do, a change of thing, but they figured it out. I knew what the loophole was all these years, and I managed to help, working, people making, 22 to whatever, about 60, get a little bit better deal. But now that's going to be wrecked. So I'm kind of worried about that. There's a lot of problems. I think the fight, though, is hilarious. I do watch a lot of comedy. It was so funny, the Musk attack. Why can't he show the Epstein files? We all knew why, but still, here Musk say, well, because he's in all the pictures. He's in there. I mean, that is hilarious. I mean, to say it, because we all kind of knew this anyways, but to put it out there, it is just so funny.
What are y'all talking about?
Just political state of things. But did you have any interest or anything, or any peeves or anything you'd want to bring up?
My brain, I have completely lost brain cells, so I'm not able to help in any way.
No,
but
but
I don't
that's
think
why
this.
I asked you for your. Is there anything like on your mind though that might be easier for you?
No, I just lost them in my brain. I don't know if this guy Republican is here, but he always says that we're just wasting away on here.
Oh, so
I think
what do you attribute to the brain drain for yourself?
Not reading enough. He's right. I don't read enough. I don't listen to lectures enough. I'm not using my brain enough.
What's taking up your time? Your energy.
I guess just bad decisions.
So you mean the consequences of the bad decisions?
Exactly. Consequences of bad decisions.
Yeah. Well, I was.
You know you're on YouTube. You're on YouTube right now, right?
Nope. Oh, good.
This guy at Republicans is streaming us. somewhere.
Oh, what an honor. What an honor. I don't think that anybody's gonna listen to it. I think this would be like so boring for people.
I know, right?
Boring enough just to participate and try to crack a few jokes, but to not even be able to do that, I don't know.
Says your name, Adeline? It's a pretty name.
Yeah. Well, thanks. How do I pronounce yours? Prince? I don't know. How do I say your name? I've had some jobs in the past that, I guess to say at the beginning of the job, I was okay. But then after, hours and hours and weeks of it, probably before a month, it didn't take all that long, my brain was gone. I mean, it was like a kind of a monotonous thing where I wasn't getting to do anything that engaged myself. It was just like stupid stuff. It was like, or admin. It was just kind of paper pushing, there's been various ones of different natures, but where my mind never lit up. There was never any like creative process. And it really took a toll on me mentally. I think I would call this a shit job. I mean, I think that does come under the category. I think most people would agree that would be a form of a shit job. Even though some of these might be in a nice looking office and stuff, and the carpet might be nice or something like that, they still could be bad. One example of a horrible job, and I quit, was I was like in between things. It is kind of embarrassing, but I did work at a call center briefly, and the job is interrupting people, basically. The job, that is your job. You're interrupting other people that are busy doing some good work to get their questions or sell them whatever it is. And that was probably one of the worst things. And it's just so repetitive. It was like, I don't know how people can get out alive with a job like that. I was damaged after, I think I did it for 10 days. I think it took me a couple of days to recover. And it was probably longer than that to fully recover. It's like a taskmaster standing over you, not the whole time, worse than the whole time. Kind of this, you don't know when. You're facing a wall of cue. It's like a kid on punishment at a middle school. They go to that room and they get to sit in the cubicle and face forward. Well, that's you. But in addition, your mind can't wander or anything. You have to constantly either be doing on the phone or dialing over and over and over and saying the script. And then sometimes you're smart enough to realize, oh, this is what this is about, and you want to kind of use something you figured out on the call when you finally do get the person, because it could be kind of crucial, you think, for something meaningful, in other words, doesn't matter what. But you're not allowed to say it or ask it, or it's really bad. To tell the person like what really this is after, and give them a clue. At the end, the last day I was there, I did that on every call. I mean, I didn't know if I got fired or left, but I couldn't wait, and I did do that, and I think that made me feel better. There are people, though. This is kind of a heartwarming thought. I call them the sort of our working heroes. There's people, their jobs aren't good. There was a lady, I was calling for help. It was something on the ACA, the healthcare.gov site, to ask her some question about, I had called like so many times, maybe they could see that, because I know there was something I didn't know, there was some problem, And I think maybe I got the same girl, and she took pity on me, and she whispered to me, she said, you know what, I can't say this if it's on YouTube, by the way. Well, it's probably going away. But she told me there's a button that you can do, and say, well, just put this in and you can get this plan. Yeah, you'll have a little bit of taxing later, and it won't be that bad. Take the penalty, just do it like this. And I understood. I'm thinking about, she was trying to tell me something. And then I said, thank you so much, thank you so much. She couldn't exactly say, but I knew, I could tell as another human being that she was trying to tell me. She couldn't tell me exactly the key word, which should be fired, and certainly should be reported, but she was trying to help me. There was a way. She gave me a couple of hints. And then I looked at the site and I said, could it be this? It can only be a couple of things. And then I understood. And from that understanding, I saved, like, my hardworking boyfriend thousands and thousands of dollars in health care over the years. Probably I saved him like $2,000. And we didn't do anything, everything was legit. But there's a way to do stuff. I think she's a hero. I don't know what that was. But anyways, I just want to ode to the little heroic acts that people do for each other, even strangers, as kind of an act of humanity, or maybe, they're creative enough, they're able to hold on to enough of their creative brain cells to do something kind of meaningful that makes a big difference. But sometimes they don't realize these little differences, these hints, these customer service sometimes people could do. They can make really big difference. I don't know if they even realize that. But here's a thanks to you guys out there, hanging in there, doing some of this work. But sometimes you do some of this stuff, and even not just, being nice, it does matter. So the name of this website, ultra right. I'm not ultra right, but I'm not. I guess I would say I'm in the middle, but I'm like, no on the left, and no on the right, and only through that little, equilateral nose, am I in the middle. So if you're brain dead, you read a fun book. That were something easy, maybe like a social satire, a Pulitzer Prize winning one. Like it's public. Confederacy of the Dunces by John O'Toole won a Pulitzer Prize, and it's public. I think it's public domain, so it's probably free to hear the audio of the book. If that's easier, I would do the audio. It's so good, and it just builds up and fun. And they use. What's also great about that book is like there's so many words now that are, I guess they're too offensive. They're censored words. I hate that, but all those words are in that book. Words like degenerate, abomination. Some words I can't even say if it's going to be on YouTube. Is oh God, people get crazy. But anyways, they're all in that book, and it's just a literary masterpiece. Like I said, a Pulitzer Prize winning literature, wonderful, great thing. Confederacy of the Ducks is really fun, read, free, and you probably won't even need a free download. You probably don't even need to go to a free download thing to get it for nothing. You know, public domain site.
And that is so that it means almost you're the son of 1,000 whores.
Oh.
That's not very nice, Yael.
Yeah. What's up, Republican?
Nothing. I'm sitting here sun tanning. What are you doing?
Really? So tanning on what?
In my living room with the sun. I'm on a reclining chair, sitting in the sun tanning.
I don't think the UV rays go through the window glass.
Oh, they do. I'm looking pretty tan these days.
Oh, okay. That's good. Oops, Jishi, where's your moderator?
So how much longer till Palestine is free?
Oh, wow. How much until Palestine is free?
Till God wills it.
Ugh. God has willed it. God's willed it like 8 times, and he's like, I'm fucking over it. How many times?
Yeah, how many times can you play the game The Boy Who Cried Wolf?
I think God has willed it. I think at this point we're just going against God. Oh yeah, boy.
Why can't they get out? Because you see these videos of people just living in absolute, filth, poverty, and despair.
Because Egypt is basically, you have to, what is it, 10,000 per person to cross the border?
Royal, I hate to say it, I know this is going to sound really racist, but the Palestinians are just a very lazy people. Everybody in the region knows it. Absolutely nobody wants them in their countries. Egyptians don't want them, Jordanians don't want them, Lebanese don't want them, Syria doesn't want them, North Africa doesn't want them because they're fucking shit. Because wherever they go, they cause civil unrest and they start wars. And the reason why is because Egypt's blocking it or Israel's blocking it is because they're fucking shit people. I hate to say it. Collectively, absolute shit. Individually, some very nice ones. But collectively as society, incompetent. Not great. No good.
It can't just be a question of how much it is to get out, because if that was true, I mean, a lot of people would pay for a lot of people to get out.
They have an immigration office.
Well, what I'm saying is they're being manipulated and controlled. They can't leave.
They're not being manipulated and controlled. They're fucking human beings. They have brains on their heads. They're not the victims of everyone. They do have some autonomy. They're just useless people. At some point, people just have to accept it. They're not.
They don't want to leave, right? Because if they leave, they don't have a right.
They're not
They don't have a right to return once they leave.
Return to where? A place they've never been to? You have to go somewhere. Royal, think about it. My grandparents started a war and moved 20 minutes down the road, and I'm living on Palestinian land under the Palestinian Authority with a Palestinian fucking ID card. I vote in a Palestinian election, yet I'm a fucking refugee, and I can see the house that my grandparents had to leave because they tried to kill a bunch of Israelis one day after the state was formed. That's not a fucking refugee, that's a fucking lazy piece of shit. Literally, they're 20 minutes down the road. They went from the coastline to the inland. It's a fucking joke. I'm sorry, it's a joke.
Well, when I see these videos, it's just are they stubborn and they aren't even trying to leave the area, and they are just...
No.
Because they have so much aid flowing in, they're like, oh, why leave? And plus there's maybe no program to where they can raise their hand and be like, okay, I'm ready to leave, take me.
So at the aid points, there's terrorists at the aid points shooting them. So many people are not actually getting aid.
Well, why don't the Egyptians and Israelis provide security at aid points to deflect and repel enemy forces so the people can get aid and possibly leave at the same time?
because some of them are paid by Israel. And Egypt's not going to do anything because they're scared of America.
Well, the problem is the problem will just linger. I mean, this seems to me like there's no resolution here. It just seems like this is going to go on indefinitely.
The resolution is that they're removed permanently.
And how many people is it? 1.5 million people are trapped in Gaza right now?
No, they have immigration offices set up that are going. Dubai has agreed to take in like a couple thousand, and another, some of the Arab countries in the Khalij are going to take a couple thousand, but there's no reciprocal, like, yeah, nobody wants them.
So then it's all just fall rage, it's all fake rage against the genocide, but yet they're not willing to fucking help. Pieces of shit.
Yeah, well, no, can you blame them? Like, think about it. Their entire existence has just been like non-stop wars and problems. Wherever they are, there's problems.
It's not a question of blaming them. It's a question of don't talk out of both sides of your mouth and expect us to give you any credence if you're not willing to lend any help or support.
It destabilizes governments, and so no government wants them. Like, Arab governments understand that taking in hundreds of thousands, it's going to destabilize them and put them out of power and overthrow their governments and cause even more issues in the region. You're going to get like toppling and all these like, what are they called? Like militant groups start popping up. It's bullshit. Nobody wants that. If we're trying to like move forward in the region, it's been enough after Assad and all this shit.
Well then, how many more quarters or how many more years do you think this will go on?
Forever. There's no end. Unless they're physically removed and not allowed to come back, it will never end. But I don't think that's going to happen.
But if they go overseas, won't they just spread terror wherever they go?
Some of them, yeah. Not necessarily all, but some, yeah. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's unfortunately the truth.
I mean, I don't know. I saw a speech by Ben-Gvir, and he was saying that, you know, we should kill terrorists instead of housing them in summer camps in our prisons. And, you know, it seems kind of insulting to me that, you know, you may have a family member killed by a terrorist who's captured and put into a prison, who's being stored essentially for some type of a future prison swap, or they're being stored because the state, you know, doesn't want to do capital punishment. It's like, but they're waging war. It just seems like a lot of double standards in terms.
I do think they kill most of them.
No, they don't.
I'd say at least 90% of the Palestinians that carry out terrorist attacks end up dying.
Oh, you mean in the attack?
Whatever, I'm not shedding over tears over that, but I don't think a lot of them are going into the prison system. I think most of them that carry out terrorism generally end up neutralized, as they say.
Yeah, in the act itself, but I'm saying when they're captured, tried, judged, they're still not getting capitally punished. They're not, you know, dying by fire.
Some of them, but most of them died during the capture.
Yeah. But, I mean, how many Palestinian prisoners are sitting in Israeli jails? It's probably a ton. I could Google it. What do you think it is, like 140,000? 15,000? I don't even know the number, but...
Oh, it's probably higher than that. I had no idea.
It's a big burden.
In for, though. Some of them are in. Some of them, I don't know. There's like the long-term ones, and then there's the short-term ones.
See, I mean, when I see the videos of like old women in Gaza giving, you know, like there's just too many people. Like, it's just so many people. Like, you can't just say, hey, you guys got to go now. Otherwise, we're, you know, this thing's never going to end. It's like they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay there. Yeah. So then the status quo just persists, and this is the song that never ends. How annoying.
Yeah.
So what do you think about people here, criticizing something or someone for many years while their own personal lives burn to the ground?
I feel pretty good about it. Why?
Because people here are willing to die on a hill for this one fucking topic, but yet their own personal lives suffer because they're here 40, 50, 60 hours a week talking about it. It seems like these...
It's an obsession. It's anti-Semitism, which I do think actually is going to be classified in the DSM one day. It is obsessive for some people.
Do you think I look like Anne Frank?
Yeah, she was Oh, you sucked your belly in.
What do you mean? This was the same picture. I had these both up and you called me fat.
I didn't call you fat. Somebody called you chubby.
No, you called me, like, huge.
No. Okay, now you're just making things up. They said that, Royal said that you look chubby. And everyone that you try walking more instead of always fucking driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
To get your food that you eat every day, take out 3 times a day.
You don't even go to the gym, Danny?
No, I don't go to the gym at all.
Jesus, what's wrong with you?
I don't know, like, okay, when I was younger, my mom made me go to the personal trainer and everything. I'm a swimmer, like, I would swim every day if I had a pool, but I don't. Yeah, so she made me go to the gym.
That's not the same picture. You sucked in your belly for this one.
Both of them are up.
I know
I didn't.
It's not the same picture.
It's the position.
No, you sucked in your stomach. They said that you look chubby. They're the ones who took another photo.
I took them all at once. Okay, I can show you. Okay, so I went to the gym, and then I was on the elliptical. I was like 13, and I have ADHD, like, to the extreme. So
made you go on an elliptical at age 13.
And she made me get my eyebrows done when I was like 7.
Good.
Okay, so I turn my foot, and then I go around,
been released from prison.
and I cut open the back of my foot, and I
We need to
cut
find
my
David King.
foot, I just got stitches, and then my mom started pouring alcohol on the cut,
For sale at any price.
and
He's solely running as an independent operator. Where does he hold up now? In exchange, I offer a favor with
This isn't my mom, this is my mother's
Fine. Flex your muscles.
there because like the
Realize you've been released from
it was
prison.
before. It was
I had that one viewer, and that viewer named like
it's healed.
If you're moving, I need to off.
Deeper than the one on your ankle.
Oh, the scar on my head, on my forehead, is
No,
from.
like your brain, you dumbass.
Oh, the one on my forehead is from chickenpox. I got the chickenpox when I was in 2nd grade, and that one left a scar.
Honestly, if I was doing shit, I might beat you.
Why?
Yeah, Al.
Really fucking annoying.
Yeah, Al, if you had any marriage advice to give to Danny since you've been through the ringer, what would you offer her?
I don't have any marriage advice. My marriage advice to you is to get divorced.
Ooh. That's not marriage advice.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, her husband comes on here and tells everyone she has a big pussy and smells like fish, and she tells everybody that her husband has a 3-inch cock. Who doesn't sexually satisfy her? I just feel like they've crossed lines. It's all
But maybe they think they're like a comedy duo or something, you know? Otherwise, they're depressed. They must both be depressed, and that's their projection to reverse their dopamine deficiency.
Is that what it is, Danny? I think Republican's a nice guy, you know? Okay. Maybe you guys can get matched up. Maybe that's your Jewish guy.
I'm good. I don't like big pussies.
I'm so fat and not his type. I don't go to the gym. Like, ew, I'm gross. But I'm just saying he's a nice guy. Maybe he's for you, Yasmin. No, I'm in a relationship. I don't need that. But what don't you like Republican?
I was just joking because there's a Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where she's making fun of his tiny dick and he says, maybe you have a big pussy.
Oh. I've seen that one. I've seen that one, and I don't know. Can PTR it, prove it. Fractal?
What's up?
You did not just go to Fractal to confirm what your pussy looks like. I feel sick.
Fractal, are you...
Fractal, have you seriously seen her pussy up close?
Yeah, she sent me the videos, yeah.
Oh my
gosh. These are disgusting. Don't you feel like this is incestuous?
Are you just jealous because I said she has a nice
No, I just want to pause for a moment. Daddy, you're a 40-year-old married woman.
Take the Lord Marshal's offer and bow. I bow to no man. He's not a man. He's the holy half dead who's seen the underverse. Look, I'm not with everyone here. But I will take a piece of him.
20 and I'm 40.
The piece you have.
Feel better? 39. 25. Okay, I think 26.
One of my best.
Send me pictures of your fat ass on the phone.
What do you think of this blade?
And she looks good in the videos she saw.
I think it's a half gram heavy on the back end. You keep what you give. Take the Lord Marshal's offer and... You can increase your money.
If he loved you, he would take you just to keep it for himself. Right? I just joined in and I'm totally confused. That was a pretty hot topic. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it's very big or anything.
Yeah, Danny, I mean, you should read this book called Tanya by the Alter Rebbe, a.k.a. Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Leadi, the founder of Chabad Hasidism, because I think it'll give you a lot of, like, good psychological advice.
I don't even think the Baal Shem Tov can help her and her big pussy.
Never say never.
Excommunicated from the Jewish religion?
No, you can't be excommunicated. People don't pick up books. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm Jewish." It's like, do you even read? No, but I'm Jewish.
I don't even read. Do you even Jewish?
Yeah, I read. I read the Tanya this morning, and I'm like, it's so smart and intelligent. I'm just like, damn. I'm like, they figured this shit out in 1797, and people today are just consuming absolute shit. You're doing no work on yourself, no self-improvement. Coming on this app is not self-improvement. It's fucking spam. But I also read to counteract the spam ingestion. Plus, I'm live streaming this shit to hopefully maybe have a live streaming business, which is stupid in itself. But the point is, you know, Ooh.
I give a moderator to somebody I like a lot. Just all the options to run the room as much as she wants. Thank you, Amos. She's
Bro.
you have chosen very well.
Oh, Kanzu cannot.
Welcome to
Igualzão fala, amigãozão que tá aí embaixo, beleza, cara, tranquilo. Tamo aí. Mas aí, com a Boito, aí, Jadson, com a Boito Santa Catarina, meu parceiro.
Okay, this is coexistence part 2, step B. Grace.
This room going.
This is Coexistence Part 2, Step B, the updated version of Amos's pathetic coexistence.
Yes, that's what I wanted to. Thank you.
This is the new and improved younger model of Amos's bad philosophy.
Thank you.
So what does coexistence mean to you?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm doing a lot of work on coexistence. I have a lot to learn and a lot more to think about. So I'm happy to hear others first before I make my statements.
Oh, hi Rosie. Because I have a couple of rooms going.
Oh, you have a couple of rooms going at the same time?
Some of the comments are, "You are so weird, bro." Another comment by Resistance One Soldier wrote, "Fuck anyone who stands with Israel. You white piece of shit." Doesn't sound like very,
So lovely.
doesn't
So
sound,
lovely.
doesn't sound
Okay.
very pleasant.
I know, it doesn't sound pleasant, and they have usually no understanding of anything.
I don't know. I've never seen a peace movement in this country. I've never seen an advertisement to come to some local event to work on creating peace in yourself and in the world. Never seen it. Never seen it. I see a lot of political organizations masking themselves as religious organizations. Welcome, Rosie.
I think that people are. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Hi, Rosie. كيف حالك حبيبي?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I am good. We're talking to Grace in Coexistence Part 2, Step B.
Okay. I'm just listening. I'm working, so I can talk and listen. I have 4 more hours to go.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
I'm at the hotel. running this place. What are you doing?
I'm sitting here nursing a swollen foot because, like a dummy, I decided to drink a little too much alcohol over the past 2 weeks. And now I'm reaping the rewards of a gout inflammation.
Oh my gosh. Soak, I know it won't help, but soak your foot in some Epsom salt, Dr. Teal's or something.
Yeah, that'd be smart. I want to see if I can get some.
I know gout is, my dad's struggling with gout right now. Is that what you said, gout?
Yeah.
It's the worst. My ex had gout and it landed him in the emergency room.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's so fucking painful and you literally can't walk. It's like
exactly.
I'm like stuck in my house, and then it's just like a cycle.
Gosh.
I need to see if I can get.
Can you use a cane?
Even then, the pain is so intense. Like when the blood flows back into your foot, it's like it's out of this world pain. Like it's enough pain to like drive you crazy and like suicidal. I'm not suicidal.
That's what he said. But he said this is he said I've had a nail go through my foot. I've had bees attack me, wasps attack me when we were contractors, and he said the worst pain is this pain. I can't handle it. So I made him go to see a specialist because they wouldn't figure out what was wrong with him. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Until they ran tests.
Yeah, the first time this ever happened to me, I thought I had like pinched a nerve or something, and then my friend was like, "Dude, you got gout," and then I looked it up, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's exactly what I have."
Right. It is not a joke. You gotta. All you can do is pop your leg up and just hope for the best. Don't eat red meat. Don't eat any red meat whatsoever. That's what I would do.
I know. It's so annoying because it like ruins a whole week of your life, or even 2 weeks to like recover.
My dad's miserable right now in the Middle East.
Yeah, it really comes down to your diet and your exercise. If I have a low caloric diet and I'm exercising, I have no problems. But the fact is, it's the summertime and I let it go, and I'm just like drinking like a pig, and it just raises my acid level.
You gotta quit drinking.
It's that, and then also the fatty foods. You know, eat a lot.
Exactly, that's the problem. One moment. Hello. Sure.
I'm gonna go on Amazon and see if I can get allopurinol.
All right, one moment, please. May I please see your ID and credit card? ID and credit card, please. What's the rush? Oh, yeah, straight ahead to the left. Sorry, no worries. You here for softball?
Yeah.
Nice. Is that your dog on your shirt?
Yeah.
Nice. She's pretty. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I have you down one night for executive. It looks like it was already paid for, so we'll just need, I have your ID, I have everything I need. We're doing an ID and a credit card for incidentals of $20. Phone number?
4617.
Hey, if you can please swipe that for me just a second. Please, you can swipe it. Thank you. My name is Rosie. I'm here to sign for you, okay? You're welcome. Right click accept and complimentary. Check out the factor. This is your Wi-Fi code and your room number. Elevators will be to your left. You can park either in the front, just come through.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I make one because the Kitover is a little, you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh gosh, don't run into my door, kid. Shoot. Your dad needs to reroll in that cart, not you. Hello. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, I just checked my messages. Oh my god, I need to reply to people since 3 days ago. There's so much shit to do.
I'm using Amazon Medical. It's fucking amazing.
Oh my god, that's what my sister said. Medical, Amazon Medical. I'm gonna start using. I'm gonna see if they have a vagina doctor.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
I need to talk to the doctor to see what's wrong with me.
You can get an appointment in 2 hours.
What?
Yeah.
How much is it? That's the question.
I think the whole thing to get my allopurinol will cost me like $40.
Oh my god. Do you have to like apply? Do you have to have insurance?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna see if I can do it. But they're gonna tell me I need to run some blood work and I refuse to get my blood taken every month, so no thank you.
Fuck.
I'm okay. I don't want kids, so I'm happier without a period. So.
Really? You're not getting a period?
Yeah, I lost my period 3 years ago.
Oh, you're vaccinated.
No, not at all.
Really? You didn't get vaxxed?
Yeah. No. Something is wrong with me. I don't have children. I can't have them. Or I would have 8 years ago. My baby would be 8 years old, my son. But now I have a cat that's almost 8, so I'm good. Yes, sir. My son is at home chilling. That's all I care about, my son.
Fuck. It says not available through Amazon One Medical.
What?
It's like, well then what's the fucking point of doing all this?
Exactly. I hate Amazon. I don't use I used to not use Amazon, but now I do because of something. But yeah, convenience. I use it because of convenience. I don't like how Amazon works, but I'm gonna be selling on there, so I gotta figure out how to do this stuff. Oh God, she's gonna be a disaster, I can tell. God, please, I hope she's a good person. Okay, here she comes. One moment, I'll be right back.
Hello, welcome in. Did you already check in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Elevators are gonna be down this way. I sound Sometimes I assume, and that's the worst part about me. I wish I just would think better. My brain is crazy. Today I'm not having a good day, but it's been an amazing day at work. I'm just not having a good day in my other parts of my life, but we won't get into detail about that. So did it go through on Amazon?
I'm gonna submit it, even though it says that you can't get prescribed. It's so stupid. If they can't give me what I need, I'll just ask for my money back.
Hello. Hi. What's going on? Are you checking out?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Oh, yeah.
We're done. Yeah. I'll be able to check you out tomorrow in the morning. Oh, what's the room number?
420.
420. And how is everything?
Great.
Yeah.
You guys did a great job. It's good this morning.
Good. Good deal. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
The food was good. They're happy. That's awesome. I love this property. I'm gonna go get my 10K steps in. How many have I walked? 5,000. Woo! Halfway there. And I can probably get in 15,000, 20,000 steps. I feel, yes, I need to walk. I've been having a bad day, so I gotta get my exercise in. They can wait at the counter. I'll be back.
Okay, take care.
Yeah, Amazon is tricky. I don't trust them. But I don't like Jeff Bezos, so that's just me. But I prefer eBay.
Yeah, I like eBay too.
eBay is like where you find the strange, crazy items that you can collect. Because I collect a lot of things. Who's this? Hello. I'm gonna get some sunlight. Let me go outside. My vape.
Oh, you got a vape?
I'm about to get some vitamin D. Yeah, I'm trying to quit vaping. I quit cigarettes, now it's vaping. I'm just addicted.
Hi, Ann.
Do you smoke?
I smoke cannabis.
Okay, yeah, I smoke that too.
Probably not the smartest thing to do.
I know, but it helps tremendously, so. It's really hot. It's gonna be a crazy summer. I'm in Oklahoma. We just had a tornado yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and my friend's okay, but he got scared. I told him, where are you gonna hide? Tonight, there's another storm coming, and people are evacuating. That said it's gonna flood. Hold on, my alarm is going off. My fire alarm. Hold on, I gotta see who's smoking. So they can get kicked out. No warnings today. That's for sure. Usually I warn people, but today, you gotta go. I hope your foot gets better, friend. Oh my God, it's Uncle's here. Hey, friend.
Requit.
Requit. My buddy. Hey.
Hey y'all.
Hey, y'all.
much. I got a bit of a poor connection right now.
Yes, same here.
Did they manage to get the AC going for you today?
No, that's the problem. The company came and looked at it, and the company said that they might need a whole new unit. So that's like $30,000 you're talking for a hotel.
Right, but they would take it on a bank loan.
They would get a bank loan? Hello.
They would refinance a mortgage.
Are you checking in? No. Oh, okay. Great. Welcome back then. I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry about that. What'd you say, friend? What can they do about this problem? What can be done?
They could refinance against the property value.
Exactly. But they don't. So what are you going to do about it? What can be done?
Well, if it's affecting the employees, then it's going to affect the gas, and it's going to bring down their revenue streams. So they should really get on that.
Oh, it's only. Sorry to interrupt. It's only in the front area. So it's in the kitchen. It's in the maintenance room. It's for the employees that are suffering.
That's horrible. It's a good thing.
So when that happens, something needs to be done.
Yeah, you may want to go nuclear.
I'm gonna turn into an avatar. I'm gonna go AI on them.
Yeah.
But I'm happy though. Nothing is really, it's just today's a bad day.
You're getting through it. John's a good guy. He's not far from you.
Oh, okay.
And he records the rooms, but I think he's harmless.
Here I come. I'm walking. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Wow, it's like hard to even get a doctor's appointment. It's like everything is. Oh, I guess I can get one on Monday.
Do you need a physical?
No, I just need to get a prescription for allopurinol.
What is that for?
It's for gout. It's like a uric acid inflammation in my foot.
Oh, if you stop eating meat and drinking wine, maybe it'll get better too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I love meat and wine though, shit.
My Zadie had gout.
Yeah, you gotta basically work out a lot if you want to metabolize it. Otherwise your system...
My Zadie.
Who's that?
My grandpa.
Oh, my dad has gout right now.
Yeah.
And he's suffering, he can't walk. And he's a farmer, and he owns a hotel, so he can't even go to work. He can't walk, he said.
That's very troubling. I hope that he's able to get some allopurinol.
Oh, what is it called? Can you write it in the group chat so I can send him a screenshot, please?
I actually don't know. John just introduced me to this medication.
Let me put it in the chat.
Can you write it in the group chat, please? Yeah, because I'm at work, so I'm kind of like listening in and out. I have 4 more hours to go. Woohoo! Halfway there, baby. Let's go back to walking 10K steps. Yeah, I'm just getting my steps in and roaming around the property, making sure nobody's drug dealing around my property or prostituting and stuff like that.
Don't you turn the other way for some of that stuff?
I have before, yeah. Depends on the situation.
Right.
Every person is different. You gotta be on your P's and Q's from a check-in to check-out, and it's a lot of work. You're everything. That means if it's fraud, I pay for it. I've paid $800 before when somebody scammed me in the hotel.
Holy shit.
Jeez.
I was new. This was like 15 years ago.
This is your dad's hotel?
No, my dad owns a hotel in the Middle East.
Oh,
What
nice.
ethnicity are you? Jordanian?
Lebanese.
Oh, wow.
He told me, come, just move to Lebanon. I'll let you run it and put half in your name. I said, no, sir. I can't live there. I'm too American.
Well, you have both.
I know. I would never live there, though.
But isn't the feeling of community something that is an advantage in Lebanon?
Of course, but I just can't do it. So why would I take the offer? I can't leave everything behind.
Well, nothing's permanent. You could go there and live there for a couple months and then come back and then go back in
That's
a
what I
couple
wanted
months.
to do. Here comes my private chef. Hey, you look so pretty, love. I'm having a birthday. It's slow today. 17 arrivals, but Mom is not number one cup. Thank you so much. Where are you going? أول مرة تلبسين؟ ما حضر بهذا. اوكي حبيبي. No, سلمي لي كتير على فطوم. And if she إذا بدك تجيبي لي صحن ديزرت أو شيء يعني إذا فضل أكل ما أقدر ممكن إذا عينا روزي. عرفتي عيب.
Novel about what I said.
Nothing.
Empty claims, thank you. It's easy. It's so fucking easy.
No, I said I don't see much
said it.
novelty. I don't see much novelty in what you say.
Oh, I mean, I don't know why that would be necessary. I don't know why.
Well,
that
if
would be
you're
necessary.
claiming to be exceptional, you would think there would be a lot of novelty in your thoughts.
Yeah, that's unnecessary because just having a strong grasp on something is what like differentiates people from the masses in a lot of cases. And having a strong grasp doesn't require novelty. Yeah, it's called like just
Not letting go.
expertise.
Yeah, that's called dogmatism, is what it is.
Domain expertise is called dogmatism.
No. You keep. Why do you when somebody says something, you didn't say.
Yeah, she said that's what's called dogmatism. That's what's called dogmatism.
Right.
So the question is,
Your grip.
expertise is called dogmatism?
No. No. Why?
Okay, then that's the answer. Why are you so?
Is dogmatism?
Look. You know what? I get it. You're trying to trigger me. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your problems are.
Okay, I don't
But here,
There you go. You don't even have to have a voice here, dumbass.
Yeah, what I was referring to is that he is very, quote, concrete in his thought patterns. Yeah. You can have a strong grasp on something and still have novel thoughts about it. In fact, that's usually what leads to novel thoughts, is understanding the whole sort of like universe of ideas around it and coming up with something that doesn't exist within that to solve a problem or move a certain area of study forward. So. But like, I don't think I'm terribly smart because I have a hard time articulating some of the things I'm able to conceptualize, whereas I've met people that, you know, we align, but they're able to actually articulate it in a way, and I just like I
I don't know how to explain this in a way that you can understand. Like, so.
Lack of emotional intelligence is part of what makes people dumb too.
You know, I'll give it to Concrete. He actually does have emotional intelligence. The problem is that he's very reticent to display it, right? But I've seen him. It isn't that he lacks emotional intelligence. It's that he's just built up this sort of like, and maybe it's just like the sort of, you know, narcissistic trait like vulnerability or whatever.
I was pointing more. Is he a flat earther like that? Like,
no, I don't think so. No.
Getting flat earth vibes a little bit.
Why not go full Monty? You know, go flat earth.
I know, like really, if you're gonna be like full flat Earth, young Earth, whatever.
He's just
I'm showing off for you. I put my took a picture of my current hat here for you, just to let you know that I'm rocking with you.
Nice. Oh, and Hero's got his Plenty of the Elder beer.
yeah, I'm telling you, these conversations go through way into my real life. I'm about to throw some burgers on and pop this Plenty open.
There's a dude playing his guitar right where I was about to rap. It's terrible. You guys want to hear him and see if he's any good? This is terrible. They need to have a sign-up list for this spot. It's my favorite little spot right here. Let's see if he's good. I'll let you listen. What do you think?
Hacked up Clapton. Yeah.
Yeah. He's Asian with long hair, so he's got an interesting look.
Well, it's dog walk time. Also, meme, that's really cute. I'm dying. Okay.
Hey, meme.
Bye, y'all. It's been lovely.
Hello.
Take care.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My
But that dog is like really mean to that cat.
app is not working properly.
This picture, not looking anywhere I don't pay attention. It's the current scenery right here. Actually, we can pull those.
America, this is you.
Kinda, maybe, sort of.
Sir, are you from London?
Yes.
I think you look very stylish.
No, it's called
So what can I do?
Family
I take
House.
pictures of people. What's your criterion for choosing? That's a good question. Somebody who my instincts tell me there's a good soul. And you look
look like you have a story.
But it may not be for telling. I don't take very good photos.
Okay, I'm just gonna give with every word.
I couldn't
Do you have children? Do you have...
No brothers and sisters. I lost my walking stick. Oh, I put it down. I was being healed. I don't like this one because it's too medical. How old do you think I am?
Early 70s.
No, I'm 80. I don't overeat and I don't over-exercise when I get up.
If this one's even more ideal, it's playing soccer.
You're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, Joe.
Lottering. One of the pleasures of life.
What other kind of memories do you have of your childhood?
I remember going across Westminster Bridge in a tram. My father could be quite difficult. Victorian.
Tell me you don't feel like you're on vacation when you expand this picture.
More as I get older. I used to do the right
Are you in John Smythe Park?
Where is it?
You regret asking me questions. I do go
Where is it?
You don't want to see the photos.
You were in John
That's not bad.
Is that what they call it?
It'll sort itself out. Don't worry about going to the dentist. Think about
Alexander. Let me see.
carry on. If you want to go to somewhere, go.
Yeah, Old Town. What the hell is this called?
While the place is still there.
I'm not every one all the time. Yeah, King Street Park. That's it. King Street Park, yeah. Very nice.
Hello, folks.
That's your rap spot?
Are you feeling good this morning?
Sorry, I keep putting it into my ear
I'm
here.
trying
Where's
to get
that?
on my feet again.
That's your rap spot?
Yes, yeah, it's packed. I like when you look. If I took this picture from here up the street, it's just like all outdoor restaurants with just like hundreds of people walking, then people playing over here. This is usually where the people set up. But I mean, you can set up anywhere, but I just like the spot he's at. Because there's like a big open street area and the crowd gathers around pretty big. But, you know.
Ironic name for that part of the country for King Street. Which king?
Yeah, definitely. That's like how they named everything when they came over. They named everything after the old, colony stuff. I mean, the old world, and then in protest later, they went and renamed everything Washington Street and all that stuff. That was like big protest. When they take you through the tours and, like the Freedom Trail in Boston, it's the same thing. Like they say, oh yeah, here's, King Street, but then they changed it to Washington Street. So all Boston is like all colonial kind of names, but some cities will just retain it. Like here in Alexandria, they do teach the history of slavery, so they kind of I sometimes think that leads into them keeping some of the original names and stuff. Because this was like one of the biggest slave ports in the country, right where I'm standing. In fact, watch, I'll take this picture. Watch this. Yeah, you can read it there. Or maybe not too well, but you get it. I'm sure you can find a facsimile of that online.
Okay, let's see that. That's very nice. So,
John. Hey, John.
Oh, I thought maybe I've been checking into various things and my speakers weren't working. I thought maybe there was something wrong with me, but it wasn't me at all. It wasn't.
Hello?
welcome to the app. What's the teenager countdown?
I don't know, like.
Wow. I know, it's like you're old enough to.
حكيت لي عليها رجعة أنا خبرني سهيل قال لي راه رومك أنا فاتح الروم باسم تاني رجع غير الاسم مش خبرني سهيل قال لي راه فاتحين
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Yeah. I like that because I like those expressions in this humbling experience, and I don't care what nobody say, this is humbling beyond belief. That I'm just going to continue to face hardships, as I would love to be proven wrong. Even if I'm expressing myself to keep someone from going through an experience, the way that I do it causes them to feel a way about how I expressed it to them. And at times they even subject themselves to the experience because I expressed myself the way that I did. So what I understand to be another part of that humbling process is the political correctness.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Earlier. What's up, comedian?
Well, yep, to be implemented into your daily expression, right?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We were having a conversation earlier with where, and that's what I was talking about on the show earlier today about American pride is being prideful and understanding that you are a creator and it's getting people to that space. And then the ones that, like you said, that demand to be humble, to me, has not, they haven't gotten to that space. They're not in that space because they're saying that you are creating something within them. They have not gotten to that space. But that's what I'm saying. It's important that you understand that because in the space that you're in, what we have to understand is that we have to move. It's almost like you're going to make somebody else move, and you are basically the master. You have to understand when you get to a creative space, you're the master, and you're going to make other people move based on how you say things. Because they can't look at themselves and be 100% accountable. They're not going to be accountable 100%. Therefore, you are the one that's accountable 100%. So therefore, you are creating your reality.
So this is what I'm about to say. A part of that humbling process that I found it come humble is that there was a pair of Jordans that someone gave me just before I got the Air Force Ones, if I remember that correctly. The way that Jordans fit for me and what it is that they represent to me, because those were a little tight. Also, the air bubble had been popped.
Oh shit!
Not only that,
but what Jordan had the air bubble? I don't think any of them.
No, in the bottom, the Jordan side is normally the front face of the aerospace that's in it.
Oh, wait.
That like in the sole of the shoe, it doesn't have like the Air Max,
Oh,
the air bubble.
Yeah.
Or maybe that one did. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I don't think it did though. But because it had been altered, they were already snug because they're for like thinner feet. Jordans are for narrower feet than what I have. And because of what they represented, instead of trying to give them away, because the last time I gave away I gave away a pair of shoes that was altered that I had purchased. The person, I think like about 2 weeks later, ended up with a leg injury.
Damn.
Yep. That be the goal whenever it is that someone alters a person's shoe, is to cause an injury, like a permanent effect injury, right? And the last time I bought some shoes, had them for it. There were some KDs. Had the KDs for a while. They got altered, and this is while it is I was in the shelter, which the practice got picked up from there. Those people in my life, it's just been carried forward since, and that's been since 2022, right? After they were altered, and I was able to tell because the way they felt afterwards, I'm like, yeah, something's wrong with one of the feet, right? I gave them away to a person, and lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they injured that leg.
Damn.
Yep. And that it's become something that's become regular practice in my life, that my shoes get altered a certain way.
You got the Michael Jordan feet.
well, no. And granted, I can't wear Jordans, and I burned them. The point of me talking was that I burned those shoes. I burned shoes. I burned a pair of Jordans. Burned them to nothing.
Why'd you burn them?
Because it was one, how dare someone alter these shoes? Two, who thinks that I'm going to wear these altered shoes as their Jordans? And three, here's what I think about the narrow foot Jordans anyway. And I put them in my metal bucket and burned them shoes.
So you got a beef with Nike, them was y'all making narrow shoes.
No, well, watch this. Not Air Force Ones and other brands of shoes, but Jordans for sure.
So was it? Do you think that Jordan had a narrow foot? They just assumed everybody else's foot was narrow.
Well, I mean,
I wonder if they made
because size 13, 14, 15, 16. I couldn't tell you about the experience of those, right?
Well, I wear 14.
Know how they? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how it goes when you get to bigger shoes as far as the width of them, right?
Oh.
Like I'm pretty sure that.
Wait, what size shoe you wear?
10 and a half, 11, depending.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the Air Force Ones, 11, because they fit the best.
Certain shoes, I guess, because I know on certain shoes, I remember when I was back in the days when I was buying all kinds of shit, when I was in corporate America with the six-figure job, I was buying like certain shoes, like the Barclays. They was kind of like, I had to get. I couldn't wear a 13 at the time. I was wearing a 13. I had to get a 14 in the Barclays because they fit narrow. And then those foam posits, remember the ones that zipped up?
Yeah.
Those, I had to get a 15 in those because if I got a 13 or 14, it wouldn't zip up because I had to get a 5.
One time I had to zip up shoes, but I didn't actually get the shoe to go in the casing, the zip up casing. I think I had been working a summer job, and used to get the East Bay books all the time, right?
Oh yeah, the East Bay.
And so I ordered it out the East Bay, thinking they were on sale. When something got there, it was just a shell, and they no longer sold the shoe.
Oh shit.
Yep. So I ended up just with the shoe. I forgot what I did.
Wait, was that the Adidas?
What were they?
Adidas did something like that, and then who else? I think Nike did do something.
Yeah, I think they might have been Nikes. Yep, they might have been Nikes. They did.
Another shoe that
had the shoe.
I don't know if you know, but there is a boot called. It's called. Oh shit! It's made out of Australia. They're called. Damn it! I had a pair of them, and they are fucking amazing boots. Bluntstones. They're made out of Australia, but they are are some amazing fucking boots. They're pretty much they're like 3/4. They just slide in. They're waterproof. You get them in waterproof, steel toe. But they are some. That's a boot that you can put on some shorts. You could go put on an outfit you could put on some slacks. You know what I'm saying? Like you could put on anything, and them boots are just like perfect for any occasion. Shout out to Bluntstone. Shout out to this show being brought to you by Bluntstone Boots out of Australia. Check those. Those are very classy boots.
Wow. And then you mentioned to me in Australia is a brand, like a podcasting brand, out of Australia that was associated with the local NBA franchise. In the street politics of him being here, he got pushed up on after I met him.
Who was that?
In town. It's a guy that goes by Pistons Jack on X. I know he's on X for sure. He might be on, I don't know what other platform, but he goes by Piston Jack. He's out of Australia. And he came to town because he got asked to come into town from the franchise. And, so he took the opportunity to come into town. And the first night he was here, he put out that he was out and, if anybody pays attention to him, to come meet him or whatever. So I went out. I ended up walking back from, where did I walk from? So, just to tell a story with him, hung out, ate, talked basketball, and that's when the team ended up going on like an 8 or 9 game winning streak. And I feel like he relayed some information from our conversation to the players or whatever, and they kind of did it into it. Cause
see, man, let me tell you something. I could do. That's what I thought about. One of the things that I was dreaming about in my dreams was, I'm a great fucking motivator, right? And I'm like, yo, I saw myself. That's being the motivator in the entertainment industry, going in and getting these people or these teams, like teams and leadership, even the Army, Air Force, and all that, like getting them excited because the one thing that I'm so hype about is the fact of creation, and can't nobody remove that from me. And I know I've had that. I am the source, the energy. And so that was one of the things I saw myself doing, and I do see myself doing moving in the future. It is going to different teams and getting them hyped. Like, you want a hype man, you call Lucifer. I'm gonna come in and light the motherfucking fire. I'm coming in and light.
No, see, and that's the crowd that I feel like represents, what I'm interested in, right? If I'm interested in it, they want to be a part of it, right?
Right.
And it's kind of this, this for that pull with them that I have. I would want it to be firsthand, where it's not firsthand in its practicality, right? That word is passed, and word is passed from this source. So because it's from this source, they become about it, or they go to, have some sort of reaction to it, right? And I would want it to be firsthand. So I try to withdraw as much as possible to have that firsthand experience. Like,
isn't that what Diddy was supposed to be to the industry?
What, like a
hype man to get everybody like going?
Essentially, yeah. It's just that, as the powers that be changes, and who becomes the most familiar and long-standing face, obvious, it's Diddy now. You know what I'm saying?
But Diddy, I'm not gonna say he did it wrong, right? But you got so many people want to like label him as a monster, and that his job was to get everybody excited. I just think I don't know. Looking at it, I think that there's no fucking way that he was doing it the right way. We have so many people that's disempowered, like that feel like he was a monster. He did things so he didn't use his power in the right way to me, because he was supposed to. They gave him a great responsibility to manage the entertainment energy. Like, he was supposed to be the entertainment energy, like the godfather of entertainment energy, not to use fear to push these people to do things, but to empower them to become magnificent creators. And maybe he was doing that. I don't know enough. I that's a personal issue. These people, like he was even saying Tom Cruise had said that he was so scared by Diddy. And I'm going, that's a personal issue. That sounds like Tom Cruise had a spiritual.
He was a Scientologist.
He had but they said allegedly Tom Cruise went to Scientology because he said it was because of Diddy. But that was to me like, why you gonna blame somebody else for every move that you're making? Like that doesn't. Again, to blame someone else. Of course, they're actors and actresses, so I see it all as an act. Like I see all of it as an act because when you stand in accountability or full sovereignty and 100% sovereignty, 100% accountability, full agency, can't nobody make you do shit. So the world is listening to these people say, "Oh, he made me do this, he made me do that," and I'm going, I don't know about that, Tom Cruise. Like, I'm not going, like, Diddy ain't a monster per se, but apparently he wasn't a great teacher because he was doing the same thing all the other pastors did. He was preaching from a place of, I guess control. He wanted to keep himself empowered, not one to share the stage with the world, apparently. Maybe not. But for them to say that he caused them to be scared, he caused all this, just from an observer perspective, I don't agree with that. I don't know about you, but I personally don't agree with that.
Yeah, I was thinking shortly, right? So I get back to what I was saying. That he was the easiest fall guy. That cancel culture was doing their thing, and he was up next. But at least cancel culture started getting called out for the nonsense that they be on before it got to Diddy. Because
that has started to slow up, that cancel culture shit. It's really started to slow up. And I wonder, do you know why it started slowing up? I mean, it was on fire for a minute.
Because it got found out that the strength of cancel culture was throwing rocks and hiding their hands. And some of the spearheads of cancel culture was essentially intricate parts of the things that were happening.
Yeah, because a lot of people was doing that, dog, throwing rocks and hiding their hands. That's so. It's kind of okay from an observer perspective. It's funny, right? But somebody inside that paradigm, that shit ain't funny to them. You know what I mean? Because somebody gonna block you and cause your account to get fucked up, and they act like they was all hurt and shit, and the other person took their side and didn't even ask you any questions whatsoever.
It was just the opportunity to attack.
Yeah. And like that, I thought that shit was funny, and it was to me it was like cowardless. It was cowardice, but it was. I mean, if you can do it and you don't like somebody, that's the best way to get at them, right?
I would think more so trying to replace them, because it is a thing in the spiritualist community of manifestation, right? And then understanding anything that you become knowledgeable of, there's a light version, like a in the light way of understanding it, and there's in the dark. That people's manifestation process was essentially replacing you and the opportunities that your life is aligned with.
That's heavy.
Yeah, that's what you think about it. When they did Master P, I knew exactly what that was about.
They did Master P kind of cruddy, huh?
Man, what? And then at the end of it all, looked like they got him back involved.
Yeah, they took him. He was out of the rap game. He went hard too for a minute. Master P went every month there was a brand new album. Like every 2 weeks that nigga had another tape, another album out. Like what? This nigga was dropping albums like that nigga was going hard, bro.
Yeah, I'm talking about during COVID when they were canceling people. Wendy Williams got canceled what year?
What year was that? Was that 2019, 2020?
I think it's so.
But she had passed out on the show, didn't she? She was showing
not her medical issues. I'm not talking about her medical issues.
Because Wendy Williams was on for how long? Her show was, that shit was funny though. It was a bunch of like, how you doing? Oh my god, okay, let's talk about the team. Like her.
Yeah. Yeah, but you think about it, she had pissed off a lot of people, right?
Who do you think she pissed off?
One, the lady that told on Diddy, right? The one that used to work for Death Row Records that ended up working for Bad Boy Records.
Who was that?
I don't know her name. Isn't her name like a card? Isn't her
So
name?
wait, she was at Death Row Records, then she went to Bad Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of interesting that both moguls of both names are now facing court. And she was common denominator between the two.
At a point, I wouldn't say during Suge Knight's and Death Row Records whole thing. But you never know. Diddy could have used her for that, right?
She could have been you trying to say she could have been an inside agent for Diddy?
Well,
to Death Row Records or vice versa.
That's why Diddy became so crazy, right? It's because he went from, being in the music industry to having a main artist murdered to still wanting to be in the music industry, and then decided to play it to that extent, right?
And they did say he had a nervous breakdown too.
Yeah, that when you come back from that, it's balls to the wall, right?
Yo.
And all of this.
Yes, he did have a nervous breakdown, and after that, he had started doing different shit. That's when he started saying he was Love after the breakdown that he had. He came back, and then he was saying he was Love. Like, call me Love. I'm not Sean Puffy Combs. I'm not Diddy no more. Call me Love. But then he started moving, well, I guess. But they had said, according to, all the allegations and shit, they had said he had been moving like this for years, though. Like, he had been moving wild or, scaring people and all that shit.
After Biggie. Put a time frame to it. Tell me something that happened before Biggie.
Prior to Biggie? Yeah, you gotta, what was it, prior to Biggie? Yeah, prior to Biggie, he opened up with a Mace. Him and Mace had it out before, didn't they have it out before Biggie?
What was the song?
Yeah, what about that?
That song came out, that was just as Biggie died, right? When the video dropped, I think Biggie had just recently died. And Mace was still, cool with
and then Mace flipped on Puffy, saying that was an issue between him. He said Mace was saying that Puffy kept on moving everybody else up and wouldn't move him up. And he was like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand.
I think he's been on Clubhouse and talked about what actually happened.
Who, Mace?
Yeah. Like, he was one of the celebrities that used to be on this app.
And he used to talk about, what was he, were you ever able to listen to hear what he was saying, or?
And I attended a few of the rooms, and sometimes I will be one of the people on stage when he was there. In regards to that, like what happened with P. Diddy, I don't know if any of the conversations had to do with that. I can't say they did.
Okay. Shout out to Clubhouse, man. Fucking right. Give it up for Clubhouse, y'all.
I was there for, right?
I think I don't know, because the way Mace talked about it, like I said, man, every time I hear of a human or just a
I'm also asking for a all around the ransom.
The odds of war boot.
I'm here. If you want to talk, I'm here.
Hey, Heron.
Hey,
What are you doing tonight?
I have no idea. Well, yeah, I'll probably be doing the same thing I do every night. I don't know. Be working on art in here, talking to people if anybody shows up, whatever.
Did you see all the ICE conflict in Los Angeles and how Tom Holman is calling out?
I heard a little bit about. I don't follow the news anymore. It's,
Apparently, they're calling out the National Guard because the protests and the violence is so extreme.
Yeah, I saw that there was some stuff going on, but like I say, I just don't pay any attention to the news anymore. I assume America will be gone in a decade or, whatever. But
if you look at the chart of the debt spending, and how it's like going hyperbolic, it's interesting because you can like kind of forward project and say, okay, how many quarters left do we actually have?
Yeah. Well, it's not just the whole global economic system is on, it's going to collapse within, I don't know, a few years, a decade, maybe a little longer. It's over. Capitalism, corporate capitalism was a great idea for a century or two, and it worked, and it's toxic now.
Do you think it's because of fiat currency?
Oh, I think it's because of a whole bunch of things. I think this is bigger than what humans think is going on. I think Earth itself is running the show. I think Earth itself is going through a kind of metamorphosis of a sort. This is a phase change in Earth's development. Hold on a second. I'm cooking something. I just got to go take a look at it. Hang on. Okay, a couple more minutes. Go on.
I was thinking today that like in the, in terms of like the financial system, we went from gold and silver, which required a lot of time and effort to create that medium of exchange. And then we went to fiat currency, which was created by trees. And then the third step was getting electric and digital and going database to create the medium of exchange. So the immorality, or I guess easy money or easy exchange has created a huge bubble. But that part of me thinks that it's all fake, meaning like it's spam. And that if they want to say, hey, we're not 40 trillion in debt anymore, we've negotiated a debt settlement program and we're eliminating, 80% of the debt.
Yeah.
Because it's all verbal.
Yeah, it's all paperwork. It's, but like I say, I think we're headed into the end of the last couple thousand years of civilization and the beginning of the first global high-tech enlightened civilization. I expect that in the next 20 years, probably.
What do you think about doomsday sayers who have always said that now is the critical...
Impossible. Well, yeah, that's certainly a possibility. I mean, not all caterpillars become butterflies. Some of them abort or they're malformed or something and they don't complete their development. We don't know. There's no guarantees that Earth is healthy and developing appropriately. I'm assuming it is. But I don't know that. It could be over. Yeah.
I was in your room yesterday and you had, the end of America. And so I put in the chat that there's this Native American saying that says, if you can say it, it is not true. So, I don't know, that seems to hold up. Like, the words are not accurate.
Every civilization that has ever been here is disappeared at some point. And I don't see that America should be any fucking different than any other group. China's coming on now. America's had its century. In the next 20 years or so, China's going to be running the show. And then they're going to disappear because all nation states, I assume, are disappearing along with capitalism. So this is going to be an exciting couple decades.
I mean, China's been around forever, though,
Well, China hasn't been around forever. People have been living there forever. There have been 100 different dynasties and kingdoms and, Europe has been there forever too, but it's changing. Everything's going to change in the next few years. At least that's my idea, my story.
Well, what do you think about like meaning that like you are eternal in the same way, you know, like the Carl Sagan thing that you're stardust, and so like
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
therefore like your theory is kind of irrelevant in the sense that you'll just keep re-emerging in a different consciousness or a different energy form.
Well, that's a nice theory. I don't know that that's true. You know, there's all sorts of ideas floating around about the ultimate nature of reality. Nobody knows what the fuck is actually going on here. Everybody likes to think, well, I really know. Bullshit. Nobody knows. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Nobody else knows either.
I was listening to Alan Watts, and he was saying how, you know, you can't put your finger through a fan because it's moving so fast, and you can't put your finger through the floor because it's moving even faster.
Right.
And so, you know, all of reality is essentially metaphysic or energy and movement or what.
No. That's us. No. That's a story. It's not a bad story.
Yeah.
Even the word reality is empty. All I have, all you have, all anybody has is their immediate sensory experience and whatever stories they've inherited or developed to make sense out of their immediate sensory experience. The idea of an objective reality causing my experience is a story. It's not a bad story. It's a good story, actually, but it's certainly not the truth. The way it is. It's just a way of thinking.
Well, I mean, do you think you're God or trying to rediscover that you're God?
You know, something like that. I don't use the word God. I use the word Bob. But my religion, my big story is that Bob is a good dreamer. And Bob just dreams up universes and inhabits all of them from the inside. So it's Bob looking through your eyes, and looking through my eyes, and looking through my dog's eyes, and looking through the fleas on the dog next door. My dog doesn't have any fleas. And yeah, so in that sense, that's one of the stories that I use. It's all Bob. Praise Bob.
What do you think about like ritualistic ceremonial activities to, you know, optimize yourself?
Yeah, that can be fun.
I was listening.
I think everybody's path is different. You know, everybody finds themselves moved in different ways, and you know, I think that's fine for some people. Not my path, but apparently it works for others.
Would you call yourself more of like an Alan Watts Zen Buddhist?
No, I wouldn't call myself anything. Alan Watts was essential in my development. He woke me up. He started me on the path. So he's critical in my life. But, no. I mean, a lot of my thinking has been influenced by him. Basically, I'm sort of like a stripped-down Hindu. My attitude is pretty much similar to Hinduism, but stripped down without all the gods and crazy stuff, you know. That basically there's Brahma and it does everything. There isn't anything but Brahma. And that sort of makes sense to me.
Is Brahma the now?
Well, it depends on. Yeah, it's sort of like the Christian concept of God, sort of. But it's different, though.
Well, when I say now, I mean like Bob is now. Like Bob, now never existed in the past. Now doesn't exist in the future. Like there's just been this eternal now, and so that would be God. And people are essentially out of the now, which is,
You
a
can't
distraction.
get out of the now. That's impossible. There isn't anything but now.
Well, I mean in the sense that like words are distracting us.
Yeah, you can get lost in stories about the past and the future, but you're doing all that right now.
So if you're in the now, though, you should be in like a state of love, not a state of war.
I don't know that. No. Doesn't have, I don't know what Bob is up to.
But aren't you Bob?
Well, I'm Bob pretending to be.
Aren't you eating right now, Bob?
Yeah, I'm eating a pizza.
Do you think there's like a divine humor? Do you think Bob is a comedian?
I don't think it's possible to have an opinion about the nature of Bob. I think it's pointless. I mean, it's fun to say shit, but
well,
it's like asking the bacteria that live under my fingernail what they think about the conversation you and I are having. That's out of my league.
Well, have you heard the term abraxas?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it means.
I mean, I think it's like Holy Spirit, essentially.
It's what?
Like the concept of Holy Spirit and the Trinity.
Well, who knows what the hell that means?
I would just call it like a variable, like an X factor, which is it's conceptual, but it can be useful in terms of energy, I suppose, like creating energy to fulfill your desires.
What is it we're talking about here? What are we talking about?
I guess just Bob's potentiality.
Well, again, like I say, I just don't spend much time trying to understand what Bob is up to. I just think there's plenty of other things I can attend to. I don't need that answer.
Well, what I mean is you use Bob to essentially determine what, the best thing is that you can do. I mean, people use the information.
Use Bob, I use the story of Bob. I got a story. That's what I'm using.
Yeah. Do you think it's like reflective or projection?
I don't have any idea. I don't know. I make up stories. We all make up stories. We inherit some stories from our parents, from the television, and then we read and we get new ideas. But all of that is in the domain of language, and it's just a bunch of stories, which are very helpful at times.
So how would you define communication?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, the root word is like commune, which is like a community. So it's like a story within a group.
Well, yeah. But the way language actually functions and all these other things and all these historical connotations and stuff, I don't trust much of that. Like I say, I'm quite content not knowing a whole bunch of stuff. It used to piss me off that I didn't have answers for all these questions. Most of my life, actually. But over the last 10 or 15 years, I've become much more comfortable not knowing.
Do you think 90? I mean, I've basically come up with like 5 ways to define communication. One would be comedy. Another would be magic. Another would be hypnosis. Another would be
that's not
spam.
Definition. Those are examples. That's not the same as a definition. you're giving examples.
Examples, yeah. But then politics or political would be the dominant force, you know, in the West especially, that all communication is political in a way. Whether, because even if you...
Well, every place in the world, in every tribe, politics is again, everything is everything. People's human relationships are all negotiated in language. That's politics.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just always looking for a way to... What's the best way for me to live my life to optimize it for maximum enjoyment?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that sounds like a good question. Yeah. Yeah.
But I still...
I have a little problem with the word the best way. I think I'd be satisfied with a damn good way.
I mean,
I don't really need the best way.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the best way is a trap, is a way to keep us from actually experiencing a really good way.
I mean, you know that statement, like, the only real philosophical question is, should I commit suicide? That Japanese statement. And then so all these words are just, like, airy nothings describing reality, but it's
They're
still...
not describing reality. No, they're not describing reality, first of all. They're describing our experience. And they don't even do that very well. But they certainly aren't describing reality. They're describing their own personal experience.
So it's like, what is it? Objective versus subjective? So you're saying that it's all objective?
There is no objective. It's impossible.
So what's your favorite food? Pizza?
No, that's up there.
I mean, there's three...
I eat pretty simple mostly.
Pizza's like a trinity. I mean, it takes three variables to create a flavor experience. And my uncle says that fat is what satisfies in the end.
Well, good for your uncle. That's what satisfies him. Again, all these verbal formulas. I don't know, it just doesn't carry much weight with me.
So what's your favorite way to be nonverbal? I mean, and do you call it meditation?
Well, listen, I was a meditator for probably 40 years. I meditate twice a day, for 20 minutes, half hour, something like that. That was a big part of my life.
When you're meditating, do you think you're like creating an algorithm and doing prioritizations?
No, I'm doing nothing like that. What I'm doing is using a mantra to shut down my language machine and just experience whatever is happening without the overlay of the bullshit language stuff. So it's just experience minus language.
But when I do that, I still find myself thinking about to-dos, and I'm okay with that.
Because you haven't done it enough to get that under control. You're not doing that. That's just your language machine running its old scripts. The problem is you've been trained since infancy to think that voice in your head is something you are doing.
So if you don't have the voice in your head anymore, would you call that ego death?
I don't know. I don't know anybody who doesn't have it. What you can do is break your identification with it. It's still there, but it's a whole different thing because now that's not me that said that. It's just my language machine throwing this stuff out, and I can analyze it and see if it's full of shit or if it holds some water or not. Good questions. You don't need to mute your mic, by the way, because you're in a pretty quiet place.
Yeah, my fan is running and it's a clicker.
Yeah, but I can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly quiet.
Well, I every time I listen to Alan Watts, I just, not only is his information super intelligent in terms of like therapeutics and diagnostics, but his demeanor his personality is so
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah. Listen, he's the most important person in the world for me. He's the guy that woke me up.
Yeah.
And so, although, like I say, nowadays, when I listen, I still listen to him quite often. But I see a lot of places where I don't think the way he talks is as good as it could be. But again, you know, that was a long time ago, and it worked for me, so, and it still works. I mean, he's great.
Yeah. He was talking about the Great Depression and how we simply ran out of money in the same way we ran out of nails. So he was like basically analyzing central banks and Congress and saying, let's, you know, don't kill the engine by taking the oil out. So I feel like that whole argument about debt is actually fear-mongering. We don't have to fear debt or money. We have to fear our failure to actually keep creating more debt.
Well, I think the old system is just inadequate. It's from another era, and in the age that we're coming into, we just have to rethink that.
But was there anything originally wrong with gold and silver? It seems to me like it keeps a government moral.
It works.
But I mean, World War I, World War II, those wouldn't have been possible without central bank borrowing to influence the people to go, you know, kill each other by the tens of millions.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't studied all these things in all of these details, so yeah.
I don't know. I think I read once that like everything, the root of wisdom is to know that everything that has ever happened to you was meant to happen to you.
See, again, I would say that's a nice way to think. That's a very helpful way of thinking, instead of feeling like everything is a victim or something.
Right.
That's not a bad way of thinking. But is that the truth? Fuck no. It's just a story.
Yeah.
It's a good story. It's just a better story than being a victim of
Well,
the world.
people victimize themselves with their own stories. So
Yes,
if you
of
can,
course.
if you can reframe your story to give you an escape route, you'll no longer be living that victimization identity.
Well, my aim is to get people out of to realize that the voice in their head is not something they are doing. To quit identifying with the bullshit stories that your language machine is generating.
Yeah.
Start becoming the editor rather than the consumer of that stuff.
Yeah. I always say it's better to be a seller than it is to be a buyer.
Yeah, it's better to be a consumer than it is to be a seller.
Well,
you can give it away. You don't have to sell it.
I mean, what the mind is like a sponge, and so whatever you throw at it, it's going to ingest and incorporate. So, you know, to me, when I look at the word earth, the ear is the first three letters. So I want to be cautious about what I'm listening to, because I know it's impacting, you know,
you want to be very careful about what you allow into your nervous system.
Yeah, it's so easy to slip into like what I would call a hypnosis by.
It's not about slipping into it. Most people live their entire life in that state. I'm serious. It's about waking up. It's not about falling back asleep.
Right.
They've been entranced by the voice in their head since they were 4 years old.
This is nothing new, right? I mean, nothing is new under the sun.
For 300,000 years.
But what do you think about cell phones being like the projection or the mirror of ourselves? And so it's like now there's a way to essentially manipulate humans in a way that has never been done before, because we literally have like a satellite which is constantly trying to draw your attention away from self. I mean, this is like the basis of commercialization.
There's no obligation for you to do that. You can just turn it off.
Yeah, which is easier said than done. Nobody can do it because it's so good.
I know lots of it's easy once you wake up. It's trivial.
But you still, well, I mean, see, I think there's a good way to do it and a bad way. Like the way you do it is a good way because you're in control.
The way I do what? The way I do what?
You use your phone to create a room, but you maintain the control of the situation.
Well, you're talking about Clubhouse. Yeah. Well, I use Clubhouse to suit my ends.
Yeah. Yeah, versus the cell phone dictating the way you behave. You control
Yeah, well,
the
but
way
again, most people, I would say probably 95% of humans are a bunch of brain damaged robots. Literally. I mean, not that their pain isn't real, not that they don't suffer, and all sorts of agonies and terrible feelings and stuff, but it's all generated just totally robotically. It's just they're under the spell of the voice in their head, and until they wake up, they're just going to be running the same scripts over and over, having the same problems over and over, until they decide to quit doing that.
Yeah, right now I can barely walk because I have like an incredible gout infection in my foot, and I can't get the allopurinol because I have to go to a doctor to get the prescription. So I'm like trapped in my house with this horrible pain. But the reason why I'm here right now is because I'm living like an unconscious lifestyle of consumption, alcohol and meats, and it's like why do I do this to why am I doing this to myself?
Well, because your language machine is running the show, not you. The voice in your head keeps coming up with instructions to do all this shit, and you think that that's you issuing those instructions. So, yeah, to me, the whole thing is about breaking the identification with the monologue that's going on and getting that that's just, you literally are a large language model. You've got a neural net crinkled up inside your skull, and you were trained for 5 or 6 years, and then you showed up, and I showed up, and people show up, that's the way it works. You get a large enough neural net, and you dump enough data in it, and they wake up.
Yeah, when I talk to my father, he's like, I regret so many things with regards to the way that I raised you.
Oh yeah.
And so when he tells me that, I say, do you think it was you doing that? Like, you think you created the universe? Like, that is, to me, that seems like a very self-centered perspective.
Well, you'd probably have to explore that a little more deeply, to see just what's going on. I mean, it could be a little of both. It's probably not either or, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not like but
yeah, listen, he did the best he could. He could have done better, and he's aware of that.
Yeah, I don't have a child, so like I've never had the experience or the responsibility of,
you're smart.
I'm 42.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'd like to, be with a woman and have a child, but I would want that woman to basically be a meditator.
Well, yeah, it needs to be the right person. Good luck.
Exactly. It's so difficult, isn't it? It's so fucking difficult.
I gave up on that. I'm a hermit. And actually, I never wanted to. Watts ended all of that for me. Once Watts did what he did to me, I knew I'd never get married because I was absolutely committed to trying to figure out who the fuck I am, and I knew I wasn't smart enough to have a job and make money and support people and a family and all that shit and pursue my interests. I knew I couldn't do both. So marriage was sort of off the table for me.
Yeah, I saw some video of these 3 little children who were, playing at home, and there was a news article about the father who murdered his 3 children. And it's like, that type of behavior, that type of mental health dysfunction. I mean, that's why I think like Alan Watts is so important for therapy for people because, as you said, we're like these brain damaged language monkeys, and when you see through the conditioning, it can bring more joy and love into your life.
It can change your entire... Alan Watts changed my entire life in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It was that fast. I was reading a book of his, and something snapped in me. And I put the book down, and I was never the same after that 5 seconds. I was a new person with a new life mission.
So what then prior to your awakening, what's your base conditioning and programming? Is it just
basically I was interested in girls, TV, cars, and marijuana. That was it.
Which is like an American conditioning, right?
Well, yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, I had no vision of my own future or what I might, grow up and be or do or anything. No, I was interested in cars, TV, girls, and marijuana. That was it. And then Alan Watts dropped into my life. And that was the end. Well, I still like girls and marijuana. Cars and TV, not so much. But
Yeah, I mean, I was in the Army from 2002 to 2007, and my uncle was big into Alan Watts, and he was always getting into debates with my father, who was basically a born-again Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had huge conflicts, but, I started reading Watts, and to me, that was like the deconditioning or reconditioning over, my father's conditioning, my environmental conditioning.
Listen, Watts has served humanity well in his life. I know so many people who have been helped by.
I really like his style. It's not aggressive. It's not. It's not occultish. And it's
Listen, you don't need to tell me how much you like Watts. I'm there. Like I say, he's the most important person in the world for me. He's the guy that woke me up and got me on this path.
Yeah.
There are other people who've had profound influences on me, but nothing like Watts.
It's kind of interesting because it comes out of Japan, India, and China. His core philosophy, and it's interesting. If you look at the Japanese in World War II, they must have been operating off of Zen. But there's like a negative way to do Zen, which can become extremist.
Well, you can take any point of view and you can turn it into anything you want.
Well, meaning that indiscriminate killing, you can essentially psychologically overlook it by being,
That's just what you do in war. It's unfortunate, but that's what we have had thrust upon us. And so, again, people make up whatever stories of justification they need.
Right. I saw some comment today saying that people are willing to spend their whole lives on the internet complaining about a person or a thing or a subject while their lives around them burn to the ground.
Yeah. It's insane. Well, that's why I think this whole thing is coming to an end. I think it's reached the breaking point. The rate of change is continuing to accelerate, and I expect the whole thing to come crumbling down in the next 10, 20 years.
But isn't that your story that you've been saying to yourself for quite a while?
Of course it's my story, yes. I may be totally off. I don't know. Like I say, that makes sense to me from what I've read and studied. This is a good story. But who knows? I don't know.
But won't something just come and replace it?
No, something won't come and replace it. We will invent a new world. Just like we invented this one.
Well,
but we've got new technology and new science now to this really, and AI is totally going to change everything.
Well, then aren't you technically describing a new form of communication?
I suppose that could be seen, yeah.
Because it seems to me like all of the major innovations in human history have essentially just been advancements in communication.
Well, I would say, in language, I would say, yeah. I'm more interested in the internal. The internal monologue to me is more important than when I'm directing my language outside to other people and communicating. This internal monologue that goes on that creates my reality. That's the part I'm interested in. And the outward projection of that, has its own repercussions. But again, it's the internal monologue that I find interesting and important.
Yeah. I think I've done a lot of work on my internal monologue, and it's been beneficial. I have this one book. It's called Tanya. It's written in 1797. It's by this, Hasidic Jewish rabbi. But when I read it, it makes so much sense to me that I'm just like, wow, this is profound So basically, everything has already been figured out, even 225 years ago. But yet, people today, there's just so much information to sift through and sort through. It's very difficult to find the cliff notes that give you the a good understanding or good analysis.
I think that's all about to change. I think we're going to see an outbreak of what some people call enlightenment.
Right.
And like I say, I'm expecting to see a critical mass of humans enlightened in the next 10, 20 years.
So if you look at the word enlighten, like it's basically in light. And so what that means is letting go of your thoughts and being light on your feet, like Watts says, and being like an angel. The angels can fly because they're so light on their feet, which means they let go of their thoughts.
Well, yeah, all that's all poetry. It's nice. It's not how it works. It's just poetic language to inspire people. That's all nice. But it isn't dealing with the actual issues of how this stuff works.
Well, the word accurately describes itself. It's like saying boom. You know, when I say enlighten, I mean lighten yourself.
If the word doesn't mean anything, it's in linguistics, it's a kind of word called a reification. Have we ever talked about this? About the difference between substantive nouns and reifications?
No.
Okay, this is a fundamental error in most Indo-European languages. Do you remember what you were taught what a noun is when you were in school? What is a noun?
Person, place, or thing.
Yeah, person, place, or thing. That's bullshit. That's not true. There are substantive nouns like iPad or dish or wastebasket or chair or tree or mountain. If basically the thing with substantive nouns is if you have a big enough bucket, you can put them in the bucket. You can put a pen in a bucket. You can put a tree in a big enough bucket. You can put a planet in a bucket if you had a big enough bucket. So that's one kind of noun. Things that are available to the senses for inspection, all sorts of stuff. There's a whole other class of nouns like freedom, dignity, happiness, honor, intelligence, integrity, resonance, blah, 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 on and on, thousands of these things. None of them are things you can put in a bucket. They are relationships between things that you can put in a bucket. And English confuses those two levels of abstraction, and it ends in just endless confusion and arguments in religion, in politics, you name it. And enlightenment is one of those reifications. It can mean whatever the hell you decide it's going to mean, and there isn't any place where you can go get a little bit of enlightenment and put it in front of you and study it, because there is no such thing as enlightenment.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like when you have a medical crisis or you're hungry, all these things don't mean shit.
No, of course not. Yeah. No.
But see, that's like being in the now. You know, like this pain in my foot is like I'm literally meditating on the pain when I'm sleeping. It's like my foot is throbbing, and so I'm literally in the now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all you can do.
Yeah, and that actually focusing on the pain is one way to disappear it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, there's this book called by Dr. John Sarno. It's called How to Cure Your Back Pain, and I had horrific back pain when I came out of the army because my anxiety was through the roof. My stress, my depression, it was all coming in. And so when I read the book, it's just amazing how the brain, when you put new programming in it, it'll actually change your body's chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah, the possibilities are unknown.
So do you think, like, there's a way to ascend, like, why don't we do MK Ultra programming on people who want, you know, like, the medical industrial complex should give people the opportunity to essentially go to, like, a monastery to do reconditioning, because most of these solutions aren't working because it's not giving you a new program for your brain.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's all part of this change that's occurring. It's going to take decades for this. I mean, this isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to it happens one person at a time waking up until we have a critical mass of human beings who are awake. And right now, we're quite a long ways from that.
Well, I mean, we're farther away from it, I feel like, in 2025 than we were during Alan Watts' time, which is
No,
unfortunate.
I don't think so. No, I don't think that. I think back then, maybe 1/10 of 1% of people were in this game. Now my sense is 1 to 3% of people are in this game. That's a huge increase. But it's still a tiny percentage of the total population.
Do you think like a World War III is going to like speed it up then? Because that would also be detrimental.
I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Listen, it's not off the table that 80% of humans could be dead in the next 20 years. I mean, that's certainly not impossible. Or maybe we've already seen the worst of it. Maybe there'll be a war. Maybe there won't be a war. Maybe there'll be, more pandemics. Maybe there'll be huge environmental disasters. I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Well, the system is supposedly always improving, even as it's deteriorating. I would say like communication in a way, like the algorithms exterior to ourselves are pushing us in directions that we ourselves may not have the willpower to achieve.
Yeah. Well, again, my sense is that there's something larger going on here. Earth is doing something. We are not running this show. We're embedded subsystems. Earth is on a course of transformation itself, and we're along for the ride. Or we're participants in this. We're building Earth's brain right now. We're like astrocytes in our own brain. We perform the same or similar function anyway for Earth. We're building its brain.
Yeah, I've been battling ants, and when I see how intelligent they are and how they communicate and give geospecific locations on where the energy source is, I'm just like absolutely blown away at their fearlessness, and they know when you're about to kill them. They run. And it's just unbelievable when you see how intelligent the network is within such an inferior, what we consider inferior.
No. Again, the universe is far more interesting than our primitive ideas about what it is. Yeah, it's Bob looking through all those ants' eyes, too.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing for me is it's like joy now, through peace now or silence now. Stop using my words chronically. But at the same time, I'm just like, then I can forget it, But at the same time, it's like, I also know I have to communicate to get what I want. Like, closed mouths don't get fed. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So it's like a double bind.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. I'm just quite comfortable not having all the answers that I once thought I needed to have.
Attributes of
So what is your favorite way to essentially unwind or relax your state of mind? Is it music?
I don't have much need for that anymore. I'm retired. I live a very simple life. I'm a hermit. I live with my dogs and me, and I have very little to complain about.
What do you think the origin story of the word hermit is? Because you look at the word, it's he, her, and is the word hermit essentially like the guru?
I don't know. I don't concern myself with those kinds of questions. Linguistics has been my obsession in life, but those kinds of questions don't interest me much.
Yeah, I've read a lot about tarot and Kabbalah, and the Hermit is one of the tarot cards.
Yeah.
And the thing about tarot cards, it's kind of funny. People use them as like a software program to help you do some type of forward forecasting, but really it's just artwork with a lot of variables in each pictogram. And so when you read a book about tarot, that's actually how you do the therapy work. You don't do the therapy work by providing insight or forecasting to people, for love, finance, etc. You create a large language model from the tarot cards to help you optimize your life. I mean, I've got books on tarot, and when you read it, you're like, oh wow, this is all amazing, because it's pointing you in the direction of the true self, or healing you to get you to the truth, which is essentially that you're Bob looking out upon the universe.
Okay.
I mean, that's my understanding of it.
Yeah, well, it's your story. It's not a bad story. I like that. Like I say, I'm picky about the language that gets used in making these stories. So, I've got my story, and I like it.
I mean, we're doing all this in English. I mean, we could go to India and do it in Sanskrit or Hindi, and it's the same conversation.
Yeah, it would be very different.
But the concepts or the fundamental principles would probably be similar or the same.
Maybe. I don't know. Since I don't speak those other languages, I mean, I have an opinion, but that doesn't carry much weight. I don't know.
Well, Watt says that if Christ had revealed himself in India, they would have said, "Oh, very, very cool, Jesus. How far out?" And they wouldn't have prosecuted him and hung him up, because they already have that understanding within their theology.
Well, some people, yeah, but you say, that everybody agrees. I don't know if that's true. I think, some people in India have that experience. I suspect the vast majority of people in India are pretty much like the vast majority of people everywhere else, a bunch of brain-damaged language monkeys. But maybe I'm wrong. I've never been to India, so I don't know. But I've met some people from India, and they don't, I've had conversations. Well, I don't know.
Well, if you read the Tao Te Ching or the Tao, and you understand the duality of opposites, I don't know, I think Jesus, there's a saying, it's like, you see that fish on that wall there, you know how it got there? It opened its mouth. So, Jesus basically trolled the religious and the political establishment at the same time, and he professed the ultimate blasphemy, that he was God. So, he reaped the repercussions of that. It's the same thing today. If you do it today, you end up in the psych ward. In America, in India, you might end up leading a cult. I mean, it's the same. I guess you could lead a cult here too.
Well, and you could do that here too nowadays. I mean, in America, there are plenty of shit. You could be crazy as hell and be president of the United States. So,
yeah.
You can get away with anything in this country.
Yeah, Elon Musk, he has a burner account on X called Adrian Dittman, and he posts a lot of memes, which are all pointing towards the self as being, the originator or the source of this, reality. So he's kind of tied up into this like spiritual, psychological understanding, which you could call esoteric or occult. There's like, he's good at basically creating a compression, and he's always bringing up automation and scale and compression. Those seem to be the big three themes in.
Yeah, those are important. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the greatest thinkers in the last few centuries, but he's also, I think, fucking crazy as hell and really dangerous. So. He's both.
He's dangerous to himself as well. Like
he's dangerous to. Well, fuck him. I don't care about what he's dangerous to himself, but he's dangerous to all of us.
So he does ketamine, and he goes hyperverbal at night playing video games, talking about kind of a lot of the things we're talking about, but almost in like a juvenile way, which I think, it's like if you understand who you are and you don't have personal responsibility, you can be a very dangerous person. I mean, and he's kind of proving that in a way.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping. Well, I'm optimistic. I think that we're in for some difficult times. I don't know how difficult. It could be extremely difficult, but maybe not. Well, but I'm assuming on the other side of that, we're going to create a new world.
So I like the expression that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. And I find it absolutely amazing how whenever anything goes too far right, something on the left picks it up and brings it back to a state of equilibrium. So even with Musk and Trump having their fallout, there's a woman in the White House who was Trump's campaign chair named Susie Wiles, who a lot of people hate. But yet there does seem to be this balance between men and women, or man and woman, that is like the fundamental underpinning and the sanctity of our reality, which really is man and woman. They seem to balance each other out quite well. And Watts always says, go on the love path. A woman, he says, he seems to find to be able to do his mysticism through a woman or with a woman is like the best way that he knows. That's what I've heard him say.
Yeah, I think sex is monkey business. It's fun in your youth, but if you have enough of it, you get bored with it and move on.
Well, not just sex. I mean, it's like having a second brain at your disposal
Okay,
to
all
create
right.
the
Well,
equilibrium.
that's a separate issue then. Yeah, but then again, you're just talking about people, because there are women. I just don't think you can really generalize about the state of mind of men as opposed to women. I think there are a vast array of different types of men and women.
So
I
what?
don't think you can speak meaningfully about women or men.
Well, what do you think about the origin story that supposedly God extracted a rib and created?
Oh, that's just childish nonsense.
So then, what is the true progression though to 2025 from the year 60,000 BC or however old?
Well, it
human
goes back
species are?
further than that. You got to go back at least 400,000 years to get to somewhere near the beginning of this story.
But was there like a primordial human, which was like a transsexual?
No.
How
I
did-
don't think. Listen, there is no consensus on any of this stuff. So all I can give you is my opinion. Okay.
But do you then? I guess do you think evolution is real then? Like
I don't know. I'm not an evolutionist. I think Earth is developing. Evolution, fundamental to evolution is that it is aimless, that it's not headed anywhere, that's just random, just responding to what's going on, and there's no overall plan to end up somewhere. And I don't accept that. I think Earth is a living organism with its own destiny, its own just like a frog embryo is going to go through a bunch of transformations. It's going to end up turning into a frog, not a petunia, or a horse or something else, because it's a frog. And Earth is, I assume, a member of a species of planets. There are probably millions of Earths in this galaxy alone, and they're all as similar as any two crocodiles are. Like every crocodile is unique and individual, so every Earth is unique, but every one of them shares all the characteristics of other Earths. And again, I just make this shit up, but I like that story.
Yeah, that seems like probably a good. That probably seems pretty accurate. That.
Yeah, I think it's a good story. I like it.
Everything is just everything. I mean, obviously, this is all going to go out of business eventually. Like the sun is going to burn out. The Earth is going to die.
Don't worry about that for a while. Listen, the sun could have blown up 3 minutes ago, and we won't even know about it for another 5 minutes. So, there's no guarantees about anything.
Well, it just seems to me like infinity or eternity is what's at play here.
No, both of those are reifications. They're not substantive. There's no such thing as infinity or eternity. These are words that specify relationships between substantive nouns, maybe, but these are not things in and of themselves that have properties that you can describe or define.
You know that Star Trek movie where Captain Picard, they go to the farthest distances of the galaxy and they think they've encountered God, and it turns out it's like an asshole space monster that wants to kill them. I don't know if you remember that Star Trek.
I didn't. I guess I never saw that one.
Yeah, it's with the guy from that Paradise Island television show. But I just think it's funny how, you think you've made a big discovery, and it turns out it's a malevolent you know, creature which is an asshole and trolls you. It's like you just can't catch a break.
Well, like I say, the next 20 years should be real interesting. Probably the most interesting 20 years in the history of humanity.
I mean, George Bush said that in 2000. I mean, I don't believe the 9/11 story. I think that they thermite detonated 3 skyscrapers and concocted, you know, a huge conspiracy. I don't believe any of that. I think it's all bullshit.
Well, I just don't know. What about, are you suggesting there were no airplanes that crashed into the building?
Well, World Trade Center 7 fell independently, and they
Yeah,
claim
I
that
know,
office fires did that.
No, I understand that, but
No, I think real planes crash.
Yeah, I just don't care about that. Again, it's like arguing about all this caterpillar business. Fuck the caterpillar. I'm interested in the butterfly. I really don't give a shit about explanations for why some country did or somebody did what they did. Fuck them. That's all the old world. I don't have any interest in what they do.
Well, I just bring it up because in 2000 you would have said the same thing. I think the next 20 years are going to be the most interesting years of humanity.
No, I wouldn't have said it then. It's only in the last, since basically my attitude changed with ChatGPT 3. GPT-3.
Why?
That was when it became. I've been predicting something like this for like 40 years, but it was always way in the future. And like I say, it was ChatGPT that got me to rethink that, no, here we are. This isn't coming 20 years from now. We're here. And the next 5 years are going to totally transform everything.
I mean, the problem I feel like with the AI chatbots is that it's more spam, and it doesn't necessarily awaken
What do you mean
anyone.
it's more spam? Which one do you use?
I use Grok mostly to do all my AI creations.
Okay.
I don't use
Yeah, I haven't
ChatGPT.
used that.
Grok is very easy, and what's cool about it is it's integrated into the X platform. So whatever you create, you can instantaneously post it. So there's like a platform effect to the content.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I'm stuck on ChatGPT for the time being anyway, for a while. So.
it's big. I mean, Microsoft is, you know, but the thing is that
the thing is, I'm training it. That's the issue. Is a large part of my interaction with ChatGPT is training it to write the way I want it because of my linguistics background. I'm trying to get it to do certain kinds of things. And like I say, finally, I mean, now it's got enough memory. It knows all my projects, everything I'm doing. So talking with it is deep. And so I really can't switch to another AI at this point because I've got more than 1 million words, involved in this conversation with, I call it Lex, but, I've got more than 1,200,000 words so far, and it's going to be hard to bring that over to another AI and train it, so.
I've used it to like write poetry in people's styles, or let it do its own thing, and it's just unbelievably brilliant at creating, poetry or prose.
It's astonishing. It's astonishing what it can do. I'm just still blown away. Yeah, I spend more time talking to ChatGPT than I do talking to people.
Yeah,
and I never type at it either. That was the breakthrough. Is I only talk to it. It still gets text, but I don't think the same way when I'm talking as I do when I'm typing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just talk to it, and then it turns that into text, and it responds to the text. But talking to it totally changed my relationship with it. At first, I thought it wasn't going to work because when I'm talking, it's like. Just like I'm talking now, I start and stop and change direction mid-sentence and all sorts of shit. And it astonishes me that I can do that with ChatGPT and it still understands me. So at first I didn't think I was going to work, but after a while I realized I could just ramble to the thing, and or I can be more focused. But it works. When I'm not sure what I want to talk about, I'll just say that, and it responds. Yeah, God, I just love it. It's
You know, I've heard like Watt say the purpose of life is life, to be alive. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you view courage or accidents or disasters, you know, and how to prevent disasters through intelligence? But yet there's still that random chance, like this police officer in Chicago got murdered last night, but it wasn't the criminal that did it. At first they said it was a setup, and they said a criminal killed her with a rifle. It turns out it was another cop that shot her in the back.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just saying that like awareness through intelligence and words can help prevent disaster or premature death.
Intelligence is always a nice thing to have. Yes. Sounds good. I'll vote for that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a question of like awareness though, or conscious. Like, what do you think about consciousness expansion? Is that just a concept, or can you actually somehow increase your consciousness in your, you know, in your brain and your body?
I think that's a good question, and I think we have to spend some time learning how to ask that question more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something there, but I think most of the talk about it is just a waste of time. But that doesn't mean that it's. I mean, something happened to me when I read Alan Watts. People usually talk about that as consciousness expansion. I'm not sure that's really a very good metaphor for it. I don't know. To me, it was more like waking up from a trance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, when they say go within, you know, that's, you can like theoretically think you could go infinitely within to the smallest particle of material in your being, and then you can go outside to the distant.
Oh, what makes you think that there is any material at all in your being?
I think I'm talking more like metaphorically, because again, you're right. Like, I think it's all bullshit. But at the same time, if consciousness,
well, we gotta clean up our language then. Quit talking and using words. They're just wrong.
right? I don't know how to accurately describe it then.
No, neither do I. But we need to at least quit describing it inaccurately. It's better to say nothing than to say something wrong. Well, maybe not always. Sometimes the wrong thing can still lead you somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know, in India, there's the god Ganesha, or Ganesh, the elephant god. And I have that tattoo on my arm, and I've like studied Ganesha. And in the symbol, there's a rat at the base of the elephant. You know how there's like this relationship between a rat and an elephant. But what it's saying is macro, micro. So one is the universe, and then we're like the rat. The elephant is like the universe. And they say that the rat can penetrate secret places. So we humans are able to use our imaginations to do conscious expansion internally, externally. But again, I get the feeling it's all just for optimization and therapeutic value. And so there's like an agnostic perspective to me, where this is all just personal development and self-improvement. And that's all it really is. Maybe there is no
when you say
Bob.
That's all it really is, what else could there be?
Yeah. I mean, I think what people, well, yeah, I heard a lecture on this today where it's either personal development or there really are angels and demons and gods. But either way, you know, you have to make a choice. Which one do I want to go with, or can I go with all of it? And I say, I like the cornucopia. I like the Thanksgiving dinner. I love everything in my mouth at the same time, as opposed to just a couple items.
See, I don't know. I want them all. I want to taste each one separately. I want them sequentially. I don't want to put the strawberry shortcake and the steak and the shrimp all together.
Mm-hmm.
I want them separate. Thank you.
Yeah. So does it all just come down to personal preference, or is there a superior, intelligent way?
Whereas Bob is, I don't know. I don't know why Bob invented the universe and inhabited it and is doing all this shit. I assume it's for his own amusement, I guess. And apparently, I guess Bob is greatly amused by all of this. At least I hope Bob is. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, Heron, I love talking to you, and I think, you know, you are definitely not just on to something, you know, you are the something. I like to tell my uncle when I call him, I read this book and it says, you know, the great revelation is to find out that you are the eternal dancer. And so, you know, I would just say the same thing to you. I salute you.
It's all Bob. There isn't anything but Bob. It's all Bob. Bob's pretending to be you, and Bob's pretending to be me and everybody else, and all the other shit. Bob's pretending to be the papaya tree in the backyard.
Well, people, I've talked to people on this app that will vehemently deny that, and they will, like, well, it's an all or nothing position with them.
So don't waste your time. It just irritates them. They're not ready for this. Find the people who are open enough to consider it. Don't waste your time on people who are just going to argue with you. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time.
Yeah. There's a Yiddish expression that says, Alles ist God, all is God. And I feel like the term all and God have to be synonymous, meaning that the books I'm looking at, the house I'm sitting in, the air that I'm breathing, it's all God. And if you have that perspective, though, it resolves all these stupid linguistic debates.
It's real simple. Yeah, if you really get that, like I say, it's one thing to understand the idea. It's another thing to have the experience of that. But yeah, once you have the experience of that, then that solves, it ends all sorts of old bullshit problems, but it introduces a whole new set of much more interesting problems. It's not like you become problem-free. It's just that the old problems are trivial and no longer interesting, but the new problems are challenging and fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, the Earth is an amazing thing. I mean, it's so vast, and there's so many...
Let me suggest something. Don't call it the Earth. Call it Earth by its actual name. You don't say the Jupiter, or the Mars, or the Heron. You know,
when do you think humans started calling it Earth significantly throughout, you know? I mean, it's got to be an English word, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it goes back, that goes back to Greeks, Gaia, the whole Gaia hypothesis. I mean, there's been a lot of thought and stuff about Earth for thousands of years.
Copernicus called it Terra. He didn't call it Earth.
Terra, yeah, right.
Terra.
Yeah. But Earth is the English word, that's all. Mm-hmm. But again, we don't say the Jupiter,
Yeah. So, but wait, if the Earth, I mean, if we are nanocytes, or if we're ants.
It's just Earth. We live on Earth. If we lived on Jupiter, we'd say we live on Jupiter. We live on Mars. We don't live on the Mars.
Right. Well, I find it amazing, though, that if we are like ants on this planet, what is our relationship to the other planets? Do we have a relationship to the other planets?
Maybe not much. No, I think we're part of Earth. Earth is, again, it's not just other planets, it's really the sun. It's the solar system that's the real issue here. Mm-hmm. Earth is what we're dealing with right now, but once we get that together, the next issue is the sun, because that's where there wouldn't be anything happening if it wasn't for the sun.
I also find, do you think that, though, if things, I mean, this may be ridiculous, but like our reality couldn't exist without the moon, without Jupiter, without Mercury, without Venus. So there does seem to be this all-pervasive network, even with
the solar system is, that's the next unit up, the solar system. And the universe is full of suns surrounded by planets. That's the next level up. I say Earth is a member of a species of planets. I suspect Sol is a member of a species of solar systems. And what that all means, who knows?
Yeah, I've always thought the word soul, soul is this big esoteric concept, but when you look at the Spanish word for sun, it's el sol. Yeah. So, the soul, or even the sun, Jesus Christ. So there's this whole solar paradigm, which is the primary center of everything, which we would call the soul or the sun, meaning without the center or without the sun, we wouldn't have any life. So it seems like a wordplay, that has many different meanings or...
Well, I think right now, most of my attention anyway is on Earth. That's where all the transformational energy is peaking right now. But I suspect that within 20 to 30 years, we will have that pretty much behind us. And then the issue will be trying to understand what the hell's going on with the sun here. And what does that have to do with us?
Yeah.
And that it's all really the sun is looking through my eyes, not just Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing for me is like a therapeutic approach to all of this mysticism or esoteric philosophy. The big thing for me is I just meet people who are road raging all the time, and they're doing like emotional transfer to you in a way. But how exhausting is it to be angry all the time?
Oh yeah, listen.
What a waste of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, get over it. That's most people on this planet are in that state.
It blows my mind though that they think they're so right, but yet they're so angry. I'm like, did you not get the message? I mean, Alan Watts says, when you get the message, hang up the phone.
Listen, so no, they didn't get the message, and they're committed to the caterpillar. You might as well quit wasting your time worrying about them or thinking about them. They have nothing to do with where this planet is going.
But is it really going anywhere, though? It's not really going anywhere.
My story is that it is. Earth is about to wake up.
What does that mean, though?
What does it mean when you woke up? You were 5, 6, 7 years old, and all of a sudden, after you've been trained for a few years, you figured out, here I am. I'm me.
Well, I read The Wisdom of Insecurity, and when I read that by Watts, I knew that my dad didn't know everything, and he didn't necessarily know what he was talking about. He had a very basic understanding of maybe reality. I mean, he was, he got his.
Now, he had a delusional concept of reality, like almost all humans do.
Well, I wouldn't say it's delusional. I would say it's another way of saying the same thing, but in a degraded way, which doesn't fully.
I don't know your father, so I'm not really qualified to talk about your father or something.
Well, that's the thing. It's like he has figured out what works for him, and he's not going to change his tune.
Well, if it works for him and he's satisfied with that, then that's what you get.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying, when I read Watts, I realized that my dad's interpretation wasn't necessarily the most accurate interpretation.
Yeah. Good lesson.
Okay, well, take care, Heron, and have a great Saturday night, and God bless you, and may more joy and peace come into your life because you deserve it.
Okay, thank you, man. I look forward to the next one.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's like a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's like if a fairy tale had fairies go around and killing all the children.
No, is the Bible true? I don't know.
That was the Clubhouse Voices.
Oh, certainly.
What happened to Darth Dawkins? Did he have a crash out road rage incident?
He washed out, David. He washed out, buddy. He washed out.
Very, very
If you know the truth about everything, why are you so angry?
I know. I wonder what he's like at church. I mean, if he's just berating everybody.
I mean, could you imagine going to a family dinner with him and getting yelled at as you're eating turkey?
He goes to church. That would just be emotionally difficult for everybody involved.
No way does he go to church.
Benjamin, have you ever killed a baby or committed genocide?
That's the best question I've had all day. God, I feel like he knows how to play, right? Like, that was an odd question.
I mean, do you accept personal responsibility for the genocides?
Right?
No, can't say that. No, don't even.
I'll tell you this much, though. I feel more responsible for the killing that's happening in the Middle East today than I do for the death of the native people in the United States that happened long before I was here.
But why not Ukraine and Russia? Why just Gaza? I mean, you know more people have died in Ukraine and Russia than they have in Gaza, right?
But the truth is that I do contribute to the violence in the Middle East, right? Because I pay taxes. The taxes are used to fund the weapons, and the weapons contribute to the violence. So,
But they borrow 40% of every dollar they spend. So your taxpayer dollars are, they're borrowing on top of your tax. None of this would be possible without fiat currency. They wouldn't be able to actually coordinate and manipulate and get all this to happen without fake money.
what is the mean time to hypnosis? Is it 4 coherent sentences and then hypnosis, or what's the?
You could call it comedy, you could call it magic, you could call it spam, you could call it politics. I mean, these are examples of communication. I mean, I think what you do with...
The challenge that people have with you, I think, is that you're so entirely predictable that nobody learns anything.
But you're projecting on me right now. I mean, when are you going to start talking about genocide and killing babies? You're projecting on me.
Wait, haven't I done that already?
You do it every day on this app. That's why you're not original. You just say the same thing every day to get your gaslighting.
Sorry, who keeps going genocide killing babies?
I think as long as there are people who are celebrating...
Who says genocide killing babies? Please, own up.
The Bible says.
No, own up. The person that keeps saying it.
I'm literally making... I'm not making fun of Benjamin. I'm trying to critique Benjamin.
No, I want to know who keeps saying it.
Benjamin brings it up all the time.
Who keeps saying it?
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Oh, it's not me.
Well done, Benjamin. So, killing babies. So, your God.
My God? My God?
Can you not turn around and say?
Okay, Benjamin's go-to argument is, why do you...
No.
Why?
No.
Hang on. Okay.
No.
Okay.
She's drunk and she's got
No, I don't care. No.
No, I'm a British drunk bitch. You're gonna fucking listen to me. Because I'm a drunk bitch from Britain. The UK whore. Fuck off.
Yeah, so let's be...
No, when someone tells me no, shut up! It's Benjamin's go-to... It's Benjamin's go-to argument.
Let's be rude.
It's Benjamin's go-to argument that he uses against God believers. Why continue believing in a God that kills babies? Thank you for letting me finish my
Do
statement.
not turn around to me and be so rude.
I'm sorry, you were rude from the get-go.
No, you're rude.
I am rude, and I'm proud of it. Now what?
Fucking rude.
Hey, we love you. This is a safe space. Everybody here appreciates you.
The point was, I demonstrated what Benjamin's argument is, right? Thank you for letting me get it out. Now do you understand his position?
I'm fucking still, man. You're rude. Fucking rude.
Great. So you're drunk, and I'm rude. Now what?
You're not one. Oh my God, I'm so drunk. I've had cups of tea all night, but yeah, I'm drunk.
Thank you for confirming that we understand you're drunk, right? So once again, I'll reiterate what I had said. Did you understand me re-explaining Benjamin's position? Do you understand it now?
I'm drinking fucking tea.
There we go. You moved the dose against the cannon. Hold on, wait a minute. So this cannon sends out sound waves that messes with our nervous system, right?
That's right. Ultrasonic echoes.
Well, what if we disrupt those echoes with another sound wave on the same frequency, but just much, much louder?
You want to disrupt their disruption?
Well, that's going to be the easy part. Congressmen. Ready your steeds. Yeah, really doesn't like you, does he?
If you're moving anytime.
Ice cream taking off your blue. It's gonna be this, right? How many high schools?
I've seen worse. Sorry.
Sorry. Got him. There. Just like you said. Coming to shoot out. Pretty party to you.
I don't see how that's a party.
Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
Complaint is that
To threaten to kill me?
it's full of
How long? People be gone. No. Many years.
And also for the total good, right? They also use that argument as well. Like we don't have access to words. We don't have access to why God what God does, right? So they are trusting that God is making the best decision for everyone, right? That is why they have that rationale behind it. Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Well, Steve hasn't said that. Steve, look, this is why I love Scott, and I Steve's a little bit rough, right? I mean, you move the queen to the middle of the board, and he